Welcome everyone to R2Kast number 73. Last week we had James Edwards, the British Farming Award winner from England, talking about his mental career over the last few years, getting into shepherding. This week is our Christmas special, and it will be the last episode of the year. I'm going to pass you back quickly to, I don't know if this is future Wallace, because I've already tried to film it, or if it's going to be better with past Wallace. And I just want to do a little thank you sort of for another year of the R2Kast and summarise what we've done there.
Thank you, past Wallace. It is a pleasure to be involved in the R2Kast. I bet you did not expect to see Santa Paws. I will apologise in advance for the heavy breathing, as it is bloody roasting under here. But I just wanted to do a thank you to all you that listened to the podcast. At the start of 2022, we had about 6,000 views. That's give or take what we get in 7 or 8 days now. So it's went from strength to strength over the year. That's thank you to all of you that listening, all of you that are listening, all the fantastic guests we've had on, the Scottish Farmer for sponsoring throughout the year. Mentioning of sponsorship brings me on to the next thing. 2023 it leads to exciting times with a new primary sponsor of the R2Kast, A-Plan Rural Insurance. A-Plan provide tailored insurance solutions for yourself, whether you be a small farm, just small holding, or a large 1,000-hectare estate. They also have an excellent social media presence with 120,000 followers on Instagram, where they host takeovers featuring farmers showcasing what goes on in the sector. They share content submitted by the rural community and also have their own blog, the Rural Community Blog, to show more of the stories. I think it's time for me to take this beard off. I am bloody roasting, but I'm very much looking forward to 2023, working alongside the Scottish Farmer and of course our new primary sponsor, A-Plan Rural, and bringing on more guests and bringing you more content. Have a good Christmas and a very good New Year. Whew, it is warm. Let's see what I actually look like under here.
But this week we have the wonderful Zoe and Chris, the Chief Shepherdess and Super Serious Farmer. I'm sure most of you know who they are. I'd be very surprised if you're following me and you haven't heard of these two. So guys, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Before we get on into another excellent episode of the R2Kast, I would just like to thank the sponsor for the show today, the Scottish Farmer. A weekly magazine highlighting everything you need to know regarding the Scottish agricultural industry, whether it's breaking news, events happening in the sector, market reports, classified ads, or just wholesome stories happening in the industry. The Scottish Farmer's got it for you.
So somewhat of fanboying here for myself, and I know my dad will be listening. He'll be majorly fanboying back home. A massive fan of the YouTube channel, guys. So quite looking forward to sort of delving into you guys' story. Both very interesting. You've got some things that you've been going over on social media recently that has been quite anger-inducing as well. So we might get into that at some point, not from your perspectives, but I'm sure you know what we're talking about. Could you give us a little background, sort of both of your backgrounds? Where do you come from? Is it always been farming, or what sort of story is the start of Chris and Zoe?
Where to go? Okay, so I was born on a farm, so I was technically a third generation farmer. My grandfather was a pig farmer.
Tell him about the
What about my granddad?
Yeah.
My granddad's got some mad story. So my granddad had a farm in Kent, and he also rented a farm in, like, I think it was Norfolk, somewhere around there, and he was a pig farmer. And instead of driving, he went out and bought a Cessna plane and used to fly. So he put a runway on the farm. And I swear he never had no money or nothing. He was just like done it all on tick. My nan told me all this, right? So he bought a Cessna plane and used to fly between the two farms. And then one Christmas Eve, no, it's Boxing Day, wasn't it? Yeah, it's my nan's birthday, so it was Boxing Day. He flew, and then when he was flying back, it was foggy, so he couldn't land at the farm. So he tried to land at Southend Airport, which is in Essex, just the other side of the Thames, and just went missing forever.
Forever.
That was it.
Oh, like forever.
Gone. I never met him.
On his wife's birthday.
Yeah.
And their kids, so Chris's dad, they were young, weren't they?
Yeah, my dad was 11, I think. Yeah.
and he just never came back.
That's it.
Oh my God, that is not where I thought that story was going.
I know, it's mad, right? So and then
And I promise it's real.
About
There's
12 years later, they were they were diving for like a buoy that had sunk. You know, the metal buoys.
Yeah.
One of them had sunk.
yeah.
They was down there metal detecting, looking for it, and they found the wreckage of his plane with like everything intact, but never ever found his body.
Oh my
Did
God.
they find the recording?
I don't know what, I can't remember. I've got newspaper, like photos of the newspaper articles of it and stuff. It's mad.
This is what I love about this podcast. Like, I thought you were going to come in and say, I'm from a farm, so you'll say where you're from, then we'll talk about some sheep, and then like, that's what I love. Like, I didn't know.
It's a crazy story.
How long was that, Chris?
To be honest with you, I knew about it, but I never really knew until like, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 years ago when I really like sat down my nan and quizzed my nan, because I never asked my old man anything about it, really.
Yeah.
I just knew he wasn't there. Like, it was it. Crazy.
And then how did that, did your nan, was she just as much in charge of the farm as your grandfather?
That, like, she's old school. She was like, I as far as I know, they were like fairly in control of it. Like, she done just as much as him, sort of thing. Well, as much as you could back in those days, I suppose. But then, like, my dad sort of took the farm on, not at 12, but as soon as he was sort of just about enough to do stuff, my dad sort of went straight into it, and crazy. So then my dad got into sheep. He hated pigs because my granddad like had a lot of pigs, and it made my dad hate them. And so he went into sheep and cattle. And my dad was like a buyer for Chills, which was a big abattoir in Essex. So my dad done that, and then we used to run, I don't know, a lot of sheep. We had a lot of sheep and quite a lot of cows. And so I done that. That's how I was born on that farm.
Yeah.
And then when I was 11 going on 12, my dad died of a brain tumor. And so I'm not getting choked up, I said, but still tastes the Peroni as well. It's horrible. So yeah, my dad, when I was like 11, 12, my dad died of a brain tumor. And then but my mum and dad had separated, and it was my dad's side of the farms, like family farms, my dad's side. So we left. And I carried on going to school till I was 16, went on to college and done a plumbing apprenticeship. So then I became a gas engineer, and I used to fit boilers and stuff like that, those central heating stuff. And then
that's when we met.
That's that.
Right.
No, we met just. So I then went traveling because I never enjoyed it properly. Do you know what I mean? I never felt fulfilled with it. It was great money, but I just never enjoyed it. So I went traveling, caught a virus. I got bitten by a mosquito. It gave me something called dengue fever. It nearly killed me. And then I came home.
Such a long story, isn't it?
It's mad. I got mad story.
Right, if you just quickly explain how you got into farming, there is there's no quick explanation.
There's so many massive things in this.
Yeah, honestly, crazy stuff.
People think we make it up, don't they?
Yeah. Then, so
I mean, the first one is hard to believe. Like, it's like
I know. I'm gonna find it. I'll see if I can find my old iPhones. I'll get the picture. And then I got sick, and then I hated doing it. I ended up bedridden for a year, like properly sick. Like, I got chronic fatigue syndrome. I was like absolutely couldn't move. And then part of my recovery, I just sort of started walking about and being outdoors more. Honestly, to cut a long story short, bumped into a couple of my dad's old mates, bought some sheep, and then here we are now.
I like that was the short story.
It's crazy.
We've got a while to chat. I mean, it's almost as if you've been in an interview before, and you're like, how do we really make this quite an interesting story? You're like, right, we'll put a plane in there. Like, what a story!
I'm gonna see if I can find I've got my old iPhone somewhere. I'm gonna see if I can charge it up whilst we're talking, and see if I can find the newspaper article.
Yeah,
and the
white one
in there.
Is it? All right.
They do you know what the interesting thing is? It's the first question anyone always asks, whether it's Chris or me. So how did you get into farming then? If you just quick, a brief introduction, it's like, whoa. There is
No.
If you condense it, it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It has to have all the key points.
I mean, like, just before we get on to you there, Zoe, that it sounds like you went through hell and back as well, though, Chris. I mean, that sounds tough.
Oh yeah, I had a rough old
Yeah.
going,
Yeah, that is that something that's still a problem, or is
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm on a medication now for the chronic fatigue, but I've almost kicked that, I'd say.
right?
Because I'm able to do a lot, but not like I could at all. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, 70% of the person I was before. But
Shit.
like I was manic. Like when I was like 17, 18, 20, 21, like I was a real manic person.
He's got ADHD
I could
as
live on
well.
like 3
Right.
hours.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I could work 7 days a week, live on 3 hours sleep. Like I loved grafting. Like I loved that.
He'd go to the gym at like when we first met. Yeah, it was when we first met. You were still able, weren't you?
Yeah, because I sort of I kicked the virus and then had like a long-term effect from it, and it slowly built, didn't it? And then I just collapsed one day, didn't I? And that was it. Just
so when we first met, he was all right, but he used to go to the gym at like 4 a.m. at the 24-hour gym, didn't you?
Yeah, but
go
then
to the
even
gym.
then I weren't that well, though, was I? That was
That's
Oh, that was dialed down then.
yeah, honestly, I used to be nuts,
4 a.m. gym, full day plumbing. Then he would go home, have a shower, drive through the Blackwall Tunnel to me because I was in East London, stay the night with me, and then go to work from my house because he used to work in South London as well. So it'd literally be like that in between us.
I don't know how folk do morning gym. Like I'm an hour or two after dinner, and that's all I can do. I can't do it in the morning. I cannot get up to go to the gym.
But he was like a gym bunny, like proper,
I
like
enjoyed it.
he was like an Adonis. Like the first
I
time,
go as far as that,
the first
I did
time,
enjoy it.
so I was a hairdresser in Soho, so I was like quite skinny, like unhealthy. Like all I did really was smoke and drink badly as well. And then I met Chris, and the first time he took his top off, I was like, oh my god, he literally worked so hard for his body, and I was just not like that at all.
But I had to, otherwise I was a real bad sleeper, so I had to be physically drained, or I couldn't get to sleep.
To sleep.
Yeah.
Santa Claus mentioned earlier that we have taken on a new primary sponsor of the podcast, and I, for one, am very excited to be working alongside A-Plan Rural Insurance. A-Plan Rural Insurance offer tailored insurance solutions, whether that be for a large estate, a small holding, or maybe a fleet of vehicles. One of the biggest things A-Plan Rural do is social media based. On Instagram, they have 120,000 followers, and they use that reach to try and showcase what we have in the sector. They host takeovers with UK farmers to show us what goes on their farms. They share content about the rural community, and on top of that, they post to their blog, the Rural Community blog. If you want to get involved in sharing your story, be sure to drop A-Plan Rural a DM on Instagram. Or maybe you're aware of someone with a great story that you want to see take over their account. Be sure to get in touch with them also.
No, it's funny. I mean, I haven't did anything like that, Chris, but I mean, I went through probably about 3 or 4 years where I would average between 1 and 3 hours sleep. And you do find yourself, you're like, well, that time that's there, I've got to fill it in. What I would normally do, go walks at 2 a.m, and then you'd knock yourself out by 4 or 5. You know, it's not for the same reasons, but I get the points. You mentioned about hairdressing there, Zoe. Could you tell us, well, why did you move away from hairdressing?
My story is so boring compared to his granddad's.
I don't think many folk compare to that, in fairness.
No.
I mean, that is a belter.
So yeah, I moved. I went to school here. I grew up in Kent, so I went to school here, and I moved to London when I was 18. My boyfriend at the time was studying law in London, and all my girlfriends were all over the place, like, oh, hello, Indy, all over the place in London. And so I was like a bit anxious about being left behind, I think. So I went for, I am not Chris is, well, was quite like happy-go-lucky and very kind of adventurous, but I've never been like that at all. Like, I'm very homely. And it was so out of character for me because I started looking at jobs in I was learning, like doing an apprenticeship here for hairdressing, but it was just so dull. It was like really behind the times in terms of like techniques and everything. 1 minute, Chris, it's in that brown box up there.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
He's looking for his iPhone now to show you the pictures. So where I was training down here, my expectations of myself in hairdressing were a lot higher than that, basically. So I thought, what is the best, what's the salon's going to give me the best experience, really? So I googled top London salons, and one of them was in Selfridges, which is called Cabela. They had one in High Street Kensington, one in Selfridges. And so I had gone from the tiniest, like our farm that we rent now is next door to my mum's village. Like, it's tiny. Everyone knows everyone. Right. There's like 100 people in my primary school. It was just so backward, really. And then I went for a job interview. First time I've been to London on my own. On the Friday, had the interview. She offered me the job. Louisa, absolutely lovely lady. She could obviously tell I was like sweaty palms, everything. And then she gave me the job on the Friday, and she said to me, okay, I'll work Christmas parties on Sunday, so like not the next day, the day after. You're more than welcome to come. And it was at the rooftop gardens in Kensington. And I was like, do you know what, why not? Why not? Why wouldn't I? Which is completely out of character. So I remember my dad lent me some money to get a dress to wear, and so that was on the Sunday. I took one suitcase up, moved into my boyfriend at the time's uni halls, which was a single bed, and then literally I didn't come home for like 2 weeks or something, and just lived in London. And it is so not me at all, and all my girlfriends couldn't really believe that I'd done it, really, because they kind of had a place to live and all of that. And I just moved up there for this. My great auntie gave me a check for £100, and I had about 20 quid in my bank account because I blew it all. And I just moved there. And when I look back at it, I just think, I don't know what was wrong with me. But when you're I don't know, when you're that age, you kind of chase a bit of excitement, don't you?
That is exciting though. Like, I mean, it's funny. I told you guys I was in London, however long ago it was, 2 weekends ago. And I mean, I'm from an island. And it was quite funny. I mean, all the boys that were from London that I was meeting up with were just taking the mick out of me the whole time, because I just looked so out of place. Like, I was like walking into people and getting stuck in the tube. And at one point, I thought they'd left the train, so I almost got out at the wrong one. It was just like, London is scary for someone that's not from London, but I guess you're a bit more used to it now. So it's quite a big jump to go and do that, though.
Yeah.
You know,
what side of the escalator do you stand on?
I walked up the left.
I
I moved. No, because I had people guiding me. I was on the right one. Whatever they were telling me, I was just like, yes.
There's etiquette, isn't there? There's actual etiquette when you're in London. And
there's no etiquette in London.
Yes, there is.
There is. There is, though.
There is.
Yeah, and it's actually really fun. Like, at first I was like, I just wanted to go, and then by the end of the weekend, I was fair enjoying trying to go through the tube and stuff like that. It was quite fun. It was almost like a little race. And the is it Leicester Square Christmas market? Is it Leicester Square? Is there a Christmas market there?
There's probably one in all of them.
Yeah, well, the hot chocolate was amazing. I'd never had it.
Yeah, I mean, I went there. I went there yesterday to go to Borough Market because all the food's great, but it was so packed, like I couldn't even move. Like, it was like Sardinian around. It was just.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we were probably still in November, so it was maybe a bit not fully packed, but yeah, once it gets packed, it's a bit boring.
Do you have Kahlua in your hot chocolate?
No, it was
whiskey.
Oh, what was it? It was it's got the elephant on it.
That's Kahlua. That's
Kahlua.
isn't it?
No, Amarula.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. Yeah,
it's similar stuff though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the same.
Look,
is it the same? Is it?
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah. Yeah, you
can
have
Kahlua and Baby Guinnesses. Do you get Kahlua and Baby Guinness?
Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, it's good.
Or is that Bailey's?
No, it's Kahlua, I think.
I love Kahlua.
Probably. Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Is Kahlua a coffee thing?
Yeah, like a coffee liqueur, but it's not too thick. It's like, some liqueurs are so thick it's a bit.
Yeah.
Like curdles. It's not. It's stunning.
No, some of the sort of they're not shot cocktails, but the sort of fancy shots are great fun. just find it dangerous. It's probably important to mention, if you're listening, all three of us have had a busy night last night. We've not been together. We're London to
Sadly.
Scotland away. Sadly indeed, but we've all been out last night. So if we're feeling, if the voices sound a bit rustic, which I know mine does, it was because we were kaylaying until the wee hours. So you guys have met. How long's it been before? Are you involved in hairdressing at all now, Zoe, or no? No. How long's it been before that stopped entirely?
Actually, no. I was still dabbling a little bit until COVID.
All right, okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
But I wasn't in the salon or anything. I did a bit of freelance, basically because farming doesn't pay. Which I'm sure I don't need to. That's nothing new. I was dabbling a bit, and then when COVID, it was the Christmas that got cancelled.
Yeah.
Was it?
No, it was
it was the Christmas before.
Yeah.
The Christmas before the cancelled one. Because obviously Christopher, like if Christopher get back then, as far as we were concerned, if Chris got COVID, he was going to die because he was on immune suppressant drugs.
Well, we weren't going to die, but we were worried that the COVID would knock my immune system back into like my chronic fatigue, so I could end up bedridden from like a virus, really.
Yeah, it's a massive body. Yeah,
we didn't want that.
But it's not just COVID. Like any virus could could trigger his. Because basically, what his condition does is the immune system fights itself continually, so he gets like fight or flight mode. So he's either like that.
So you feel like you've got a flu. So you basically your body gives you a flu, but you haven't got anything wrong with you.
It's like flu-like.
I can't unless someone's had it. Then you're never going to understand. It's insane. Like.
No,
yeah. Like it's crazy, like
because you just think, so like if I hadn't been through it with him and I'd met him say this year or whatever, be like, oh yeah, were you just a bit tired? But if I would come down from London and he would be laying in a dark, I don't mean to make you sound, but he'd be like laying in a dark room and I'd be like, oh, do you want to watch a film? But he physically wouldn't be able to look at the TV because the bright lights of the telly would make him so unwell, and we wouldn't even have conversations. Like we were just laying inside.
That's tough.
I would never wish it on my worst enemy.
It's the worst thing anyone could ever go through. Genuinely, I know that sounds dramatic, but there's no like remedy to fix it. There's no drugs you can take. There's no positive actions you can do. You just have to lay there and take it and see how long it takes to.
It could be like 10 years or it could be a year. You don't really know.
It could be 2 months. Like it's just mental.
You know, when you're poorly, like if you've got a flu and they say, oh, rest makes it better. It doesn't with Chris's condition. Like it doesn't matter how much he rests and how much he sleeps or whatever. It's completely random.
You're almost just hoping for that time it finishes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And you're just watching your life go by. I lost from like 21 to like 26 realistically till I was really like able to have like a life. Like it was a year where I completely had nothing. Like I was completely bedridden. But there was a good 5 years where I was just not okay. Like I'd go out and do a couple of bits in the day, and 2 o'clock in the afternoon I'd be in bed till next morning. Like mental.
Where was it you were bitten? Not like on the body, like in the world.
I was in Laos, next to Vietnam.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah.
Tell that story as well.
Well,
were you doing like Vietnam and Thailand?
We done all that, and we was backpacking, and
he knows the exact time you got bitten with it
because we was in a cave now. We went.
Tell about the man and
we went a bit off piste and got this random bloke to like take us round, and like he weren't all there at all. Like,
and he also was a tour guide.
Yeah, he was a tour guide. It was just like
a random guy
that knew about these caves. He was just taking us up these hills and these caves and that. And we went through these crazy caves. I thought I was gonna die. And I come out and I had 4 bites on my shoulder, and I was like, mate, I bet you I got dengue fever. Like, just as a laugh, because like we knew how bad it was. And and then I did get it. So.
And how long after it was it a problem?
Oh, so it incubated for about 14 days or something. I can't remember, 12 or 14 days. But in that time, all I was doing was drinking, partying. Like in Laos, they used to have, I don't know if they do it anymore, but they've got like this tubing. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so. Maybe.
So they get the inner tubes of lorry wheels and they pump them up. So like they're like rubber dinghies, like so they're inflatable. And you go on the river and they chuck you in at the top of this river.
Oh yeah.
And you float down this river for miles, and there's like 30 of you. And you pull in, they've got like makeshift bars on the side of the river banks.
Are you tied together?
No.
Sounds class.
It's so good, right? So you get off at the first one, and it's like, I don't know, like 35 degrees. It's hot. It's jungle weather. Get out, and they'd have like a little basketball court and like a little bar, and there'll be like people serving you like rums and cokes and buckets and all that sort of stuff. And then you have like an hour there, then you get in and you go further down the river, and there's another one, and you get out and there's like rope swings into the thing. So there's it's like a bar crawl down a river. And
that sounds, you got to arrange that in the Thames. Like, I mean,
yeah, you need some jabs for that one, I think. Yeah,
and,
but
like, do you get jabs before you go to like Laos and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I had everything. Yeah, I had everything. Yeah,
you even took the malaria tablets.
Yeah, I even took malaria pills. Like, a lot of people didn't bother. I done everything you could, but you can't do that with dengue fever. It's one of those.
There's no post either. There's no like, I know I've been bitten. Let's go see if there's something can be done.
No.
That's just shit.
Yeah, you just ride it out. Yeah, and it what it does is it drops your platelet count in your blood.
Right.
So if you get a cut, then you just bleed. Your platelets stop working because it blocks your platelets. So you just like bleed. So like you brush your teeth and your gums bleed, and like your eyes bleed, and like you piss blood and pass blood out the other end. Yeah, it's mad. Like mad.
He nearly died.
I was sick. Sick. Really, really got me good. Like some people get it and they're just like a little bit rough. I suppose it's like COVID thing, isn't it? Like some people die from it. It was like that, but I got it good. I got it really good.
I don't think good's the word, but I know what you mean.
But you know what I mean? I had a real I had a real dose of it. Like
and also on top of that, he got the dengue fever on top of having cellulitis.
Oh yeah, I got cellulitis at the same time. Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
He got scratched by a rat.
I think my immune system.
Really? Jesus.
My immune system
where was that?
That was when I was back in Vietnam. So I was in Laos, and then I basically developed it when I was in Vietnam, right? And
he'd already traveled.
We was in North Vietnam at the time, and that was like, I've never been to a city where they beep mopeds so much in all my life. So you know when you've got the flu and like everything's a bit like that. The beeping, like, honestly, I could have just shot myself. It was so horrible. Like just all night, just in this city, just beep these mopeds. So yeah, we done that, and then we travelled south in Vietnam whilst I had it, just sort of like gradually, because we bought a couple of motorbikes to drive down it, but I had to sell mine because I was so ill. We took buses basically. We bussed all the way down Vietnam, and then ended up in an intensive care at the bottom of Vietnam. I ended up in intensive care for a night because I got really sick quickly.
What was hospitals like there?
One of them I went in was rough. Like it was like dirty beds, dirty sheets, like stained sheets. I've got amazing veins, and the nurse couldn't get a vein, stuff like that. I was like, I've got to get out of here. So I went to like
every nurse. We need to expand on the amazing veins.
I was going to say that's quite important. But
every nurse gets so gooey over Chris's veins. It's unbelievable.
You know, I just got big veins in my arm there, like in the.
Everyone wants to see
they're
it now.
Really good.
They do.
I know I've got this hoodie on, but
too dark.
They're just easy. They're just easy, basically. And this nurse couldn't get them. I was like, "Baby, you serious? Like, look at them." Like, anyway, so I left that one. I went to like a international hospital sort of thing in Vietnam, and that was actually quite good. And then I spent a few days in there, and I was like, I've got to go back because in Thailand they've got some really good hospitals. So I flew from Vietnam back to Koh Samui, and then ended up in a decent hospital there for a couple of days just to get.
That flight would have been rough though as well. Like,
oh mate, honestly.
Yeah. And how did you get back to the UK? Were you fine when you came back?
No, it's such a mess. The whole thing's crazy. So when I flew, is the best thing, right? When I flew from Vietnam to Koh Samui, I had to go to I went to a little waiting room there, and all these people were like coming in on their holidays. So like
Yeah.
we're all turning up and they were in like tracksuits looking fresh, like, and I'd been traveling for like 12 weeks. I'd been sick as a dog. I had like, honestly, I think I had a vest. I had like one flip-flop on. I had this like bag. I like stank. Do you know what I mean? I just looked like an absolute hobo. And I just remember sitting in there with my sunglasses on because I couldn't handle the sunlight. And I just pulled them down and just looked around me at all these people and I thought, oh my God, look at me. Look at the state of me. Like, it was honestly, that's probably one of my favorite moments traveling, just sitting in that waiting room there thinking, what are these people thinking of me? You can just see everyone looking at me like, who is this
Did you
guy?
have
Like,
the dreadlocks in?
no, I didn't know.
Oh, your dreads. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I got
No,
some.
no, no, no,
I
no,
got
no,
some
no,
put
not
in.
what you think.
Yeah.
Not what you think.
So
Nah.
I got really drunk in Koh Sam Road in Thailand, and someone put dreads, like one of the stalls there, they'd put like real dreadlocks in your hair. So
Right, okay.
cut my hair really short, and then they like put like elastic bands like really tight, and they stuck these dreadlocks on with like basically tar. So yeah, I had dreads for a couple of nights.
You sound like what like a mine looks like in my head.
Yeah.
Like
You
a
can probably
mine
find a
sweeper.
picture of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
geez.
can't
Well,
remember.
here.
We went off a bit piece. We had peace there, but what what was the question before?
The question. Well, I don't
Hey,
know.
getting back to UK.
Oh yeah, so my friend I was traveling with made me come home basically because I kept sort of limping on, thinking I'll be all right, but I had that like fatigue from the virus.
Yeah.
Like I just kept feeling a bit sick every like, I don't know. I try and do things. It wasn't enjoyable. You know, it was real hard work. So yeah, I'll come back home for a bit.
Yeah, but needed at that
Oh
point.
yeah,
At that point.
definitely. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But I
Um,
had to I come back with the dreads, right? And we were on a British Airways flight and I couldn't sleep because they were so painful. Like I couldn't put my head down because they were so like stuck in my head. It was horrible. that
Yeah, and
flight.
then both of he had to sit on. This is so when I first met Chris, both of his sisters, obviously, they tell you like funny things, don't they, about
sure,
like
yeah.
what they enjoy. And she was like, so do you know about one of his sisters? Do you know about Chris's dreadlocks? I was like, what? No. And then she showed me a picture of him sitting on the kitchen floor, both of them with nail varnish remover and foil, like you would take off fake nails, trying to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
the
yeah.
threads out of his hair. And I was
We-
like,
we cut 'em- we
who
cut-
is this guy?
We cut them off, but the glue in the hair was so like hard. I don't know what she used, honestly. It was like, God knows. I bet it's banned in the UK. But we put nail varnish on it, polish remover,
No,
nail
that
varnish
was
remover,
acetate.
and then put tinfoil
Yeah,
over
yeah.
it, heating it up with a blow dryer to try and like just melt the glue, basically. Savage.
Well, so you're a hairdresser. Is that common practice?
Honestly, I thought there's a reason why he hasn't told the hairdresser about his dreadlocks. I think there's a reason.
Do you know, I mean, that story in itself is mad, Chris, and you know, they often say bad things come in threes. So hopefully your grandfather, you and your father is the three, and there's no continuous stories for someone
No,
down
no,
the
no,
line
no,
to
there's
say,
more.
oh, right, okay.
Oh.
Oh,
He
God.
got shot with a shotgun.
Oh yeah, that did happen as well. Yeah.
How? What?
Oh right. I probably wouldn't have brought that up, but like you know, like you go pheasant shooting.
Yes.
You know, like right.
I
So
thought
we
this
were
was
on a
going to be in holiday. This is going to be
no, this
No,
was
this
in the
wasn't.
UK.
This
Yeah,
wasn't in Asia.
So we were beating, and
Yeah.
we were standing in the line, and a fox ran literally through, and someone just swung straight through the line and just shot me straight in the
It's
neck.
rule number one is
Yeah, I know, right? And he was just some old boy, knew better, just a moment of madness. But I mean, it was crazy. Like, and then I had to have an operation to have a load of pellets moved out my legs, and I've still got two. I've got one in each leg because they couldn't get them out.
God, airport security must be fun for you.
Yeah, so I had an MRI scan the other month.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and they were just like, "Have you got any shrapnel or anything?" I was like, "Or piercings?" I was like, "Yeah, I have got a bit of shrapnel in my legs." And they're like, "What's that then?" I was like, "I got shot actually." That was a good conversation starter.
The magnetic power, it's magnetic resonance imagery, isn't it? I've had a few of them. I went once, you don't like this actually. My girlfriend at the time had painted my nails, just fun, whatever. And there was some kind of metallic material in that product that I painted my nails with, and it up to MRI. And I was just signing my name. they'd said any rings, all that sort of thing. And I was like, nah. Just signing my name, and they saw my nails, and I was denied entry to that MRI. So I assume actual metal sitting in your leg's going to be quite an issue.
No, it actually turned out it wasn't. I think because it's lead, it wasn't an issue.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, she went and checked with a couple of people and come back and was like, "Well, we'll give it a go." I was like, "All right." You know?
Give it a go. Legs fly up to the top of
So this is I already was a bit worried about it. I was like, "Oh god, this isn't good, is it?" But yeah.
The
I do have a bit of bad luck.
the best part of it was, obviously I'd said to my mum and dad, like, oh, I've met this guy, you know, we've been on a date. He's from Maidstone, which is where we're from. You know, he's definitely a good guy because he's friends with all the guys that I knew growing up.
Yeah.
Kept me safe when I was going out drinking underage, blah blah blah. He's a really good guy. And then slowly but surely I was telling them all these stories and dropping into conversation, and my dad must have been like, oh my god, like she's lived in London for like 10 years and she's managed to survive it, and now she's met this guy from their hometown and he's an absolute nightmare.
Dinner table conversations at the start must have been fun. Like, Zoe, what have you done? What's happening? So did you know each other before at all? Had any cross paths before or no?
Yeah, well, he doesn't remember me at all. Do you?
No.
But I knew him as, so I went to an all-girls school and was friends with like some boys from another school. You know how it is when you're young.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to do psychology, and so I had to go to the boys' school to do the psychology.
Okay. Yeah.
A level.
Had to. Got you right. Yeah.
This is even worse. So, oh my god. So my boyfriend at the time, like childhood one, so like from the age of like 13,
for sure.
he said that he was going to another school. So it was his school that did the psychology, but I thought that's fine because he's not going to be there. I didn't want to go to school with him, basically. And then we broke up the summer before I was going to that school, and he stayed at that school, and so I had to go to my messy breakup school that he'd been to since year 7, and I had to go in. There was only 20 girls in the whole year.
Oh, right. Well, it's funny you say only. That's bigger than my whole year of yeah.
And it was just a nightmare, but yeah, I ended up dropping out and doing hairdressing anyway, so it doesn't matter. But one of the boys that used to tease me at that school was Chris's best friend from like birth.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I knew stories. He's a bit younger than me. I'm a cradle snatcher, so I'm
a year younger.
So I knew him as he was little Chris. He was Josh's mate, little Chris. That's how I knew him. And
you don't remember this, Chris?
No, I didn't know. I know we probably went to some parties together and stuff like that, but we'd have been at the same parties. But I really
it's not like I saw him across the room and thought, oh, one day we're going to get married and have babies. It wasn't like that. Just like some guy that used to, be a bit messy.
Yeah.
You know, it's quite funny doing this podcast. I mean, last week I spoke to James about anthropology for 40 minutes before we even mentioned a sheep, and we're kind of going down that route today.
Yeah.
You know, like family histories, teenage breakups. We've done the full shebang.
Done it already.
That's what I quite like, actually. Sometimes you always think, right, we've got to get into business, this, and this, and then it just all goes to pot. And I think, in fairness, to pot's the wrong term, but I think, Chris, yours has been the story of the first 73 podcasts. I mean, that's went further than just about anything so far.
It's been a crazy journey into farming, to be fair. But
exactly. So let's talk about farming. You said basically you just randomly bought some sheep. So let's talk about that side of things. Why did you randomly buy sheep? Some people buy a new telly, but you decided to buy some sheep.
I think when you're born on a farm and grow up on a farm and all that, I think you've got that in your blood, whether you like it or not. I think some people find it easier to get away from like living on a farm and being like a farmer's son or daughter, or they go off and do other things. But 9 times out of 10, they've got that farm to go back to. Whereas I never had that, and once my dad died, it was basically snatched away. Like we had to sell everything. That's like pet cows, the farm dogs. The only thing I got to keep was my Jack Russell. We lost everything. I remember watching everything go, and I don't know, like I think I always just missed it. And when I started like my recovery, like where I started building up, being able to walk and stuff like that again, going and visiting things and visiting a few of my dad's friends and just doing sheep jobs and I just really loved it. And it was like, I don't know, it was mad because I was in a really dark place where I was getting a little bit better and able to do things, but I could not bring myself to go back to work and like sit in, you know, a traffic jam in Kidbrooke on my way to like someone's flat to fit a boiler. Like I finally had a little bit of a spark for something.
Made you excited, didn't
Yeah,
it?
it made me, yeah, it was about the only thing that I'd had in a few years that had made me like give me that buzz. So yeah, I just one of my dad's friends had like a bit of land and he wasn't great, you know, had a bit of land available. And what he suggested was if I bought some ewe lambs and run them on with him, and then we'd like have a split on the tegs later on or something like that. Sell them in a bit, and then we'd have a split. But I bought some in lamb ewes because they was there. So I just went and bought a pen of in lamb ewes, and there was 32, and it was mental because we didn't have any gates, hurdles. Like I still had a transit van, right? Didn't have sheep. Well, we still have sheepdog. No, we had nothing. Like not a
literally nothing.
Like not even a worming gun. Like we had nothing. Like absolutely nothing at all.
It was an impulse buy.
It was mental, really. And I paid someone to pick them up from the market for me and drop them off, and we just rolled with it from there. Never had a plan. Well, into matey's field, into my dad's friend's field,
right? Grand,
Andrew's field. So yeah, it was one of them things. It was like I never knew anything about it. It was all just completely sort of impulse. Never thought ahead. Just bought some and rolled with it, really.
And didn't think as well that in a couple of months they're going to be having lambs.
And in fact, one of them lambed about 8 days later as well. Like,
right, okay.
Yes, it was scanned early, and he said it was going to be early, but it must have been a week, 8 days, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
She had her first lamb. So I went out in the field. It was just a little lamb running about. I couldn't believe it, honestly. Like, you know the little buzz you get from that anyway. Like, and
yeah, for sure.
And we just rolled from there, really. Like, just started trying to gain a little bit more. And
do you remember so I wasn't, without sounding like stuck up or whatever, I really wasn't interested. I just really thought it was just his thing, and I was happy to see him excited about something, and like getting up and going to check them was literally like so lovely for me to see, which sounds weird, but I remember he sent me to go and buy some iodine for the lamb's cord. I obviously didn't know what it was for. I just blindly walked in and asked for iodine. And I remember Chris was saying like, oh, that smell really reminds me of my childhood. And like, I just couldn't understand. Like, I didn't even know why he was spraying the cord with iodine.
Lamb, for sure, yeah.
You know,
he was like sniffing it, like, oh, it just reminds me of being a kid. And I was like, what?
It was weird because the only education I really had on animals was from my childhood when I was a kid. And I just remember as soon as they're born, we always sprayed their cords of iodine. I was just like, right, spray their cords of iodine, you know, and we just sort of rolled with that. That was just how we how it all happened.
I love the smell. It's funny, I haven't had smell for about 50 weeks now, just shy of a year. But I do love the smell of iodine. So I completely understand what you're saying. We don't actually use it at home because my mum's allergic to it. But
oh, really?
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's allergic to halogens. So basically all of them. So you go swimming, there's normally chlorine or bromine in the pool. She's allergic to that. I don't know why you would ever come across fluorine, maybe some kind of toothpaste, but just sort of creates somewhat of a rash. It's just, I mean, it wouldn't kill her, but it's if you're listening, Mum, I'm sorry. Just quite sore. So we use a different product, which is sort of like a Tribby scrub mix. But I get the iodine smell. It reminds you of lambing time. It reminds you of life coming on to farm, all that sort of thing. So I totally know what you mean.
Now I get it. Now, like, so we always get like 1 or 2 surprise lambs, always, in January, in like a day when it's pouring with rain or something. But we always get surprise ones. And that first like spray of the cord and you get iodine on your hands, that first, like, I'll literally be like that smell in my hand is I don't know. Now I get the same feeling that he would have felt then.
And then you're orangey brown for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
It's there for a while.
Literally.
It's good
I
stuff.
do remember when I had one foot in the farming and one foot still in the salon. I do remember there was a few conversations when I'd gone like to do clients in the salon, and I had like, you know, blue underneath my nails or like a bit of iodine or whatever it was. And I do remember the other very glamorous stylists thinking like they couldn't understand why I would have iodine. Like they probably wouldn't even know what iodine was.
Oh yeah.
But there was just a few conversations that now I look back, they're really surreal. But there was a few conversations where the two worlds, like it was just, they just didn't work together.
I mean, it is about they're two totally different worlds, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, like you're outside, you're inside. There's try to be as clean as you can, but obviously it's limited. It's perfectly pristine in salons and that sort of thing. Yeah, so I can imagine there are some shocked faces from clients and co-workers, I'm quite sure.
It's a completely different world though, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
even though like Zoe used to have clients that come in just for a blow dry and wash their hair. Like
they didn't wash their hair, they
didn't wash their hair at home. Like,
so when I lived in London,
wait, just for the what?
they
Yes.
just come in for a wash.
when I was in
No,
I did have that in Kent as well, but when I was in London, no word of a lie, before you qualify as a hairdresser, like officially, one of the first things you learn is blow drying.
Yeah, okay.
I happened to be fairly good at blow drying and like, you know,
blow drying.
Blow drying.
Thanks for clearing that up, Chris. Yes, yeah,
Blow drying.
She's all right at blow drying.
I'm really careful now what I'm going to say next.
You were doing fine until he said that. I mean, you were doing great.
I just said blow drying.
I'm really good at giving volume and all those kind of things. So I had very, very rich clients that lived in, you know, Mayfair, etc.
Yes.
that did not wash their hair at home. So they would come in twice a week sometimes. I would wash their hair. They would have a 30 or 45-minute shiatsu massage at the basin with me. And then I would blow dry their hair for them. And they would pay for the service. They would give me a £50 note as a tip. And that would be twice a week. And you build up those kind of clients. And quite a few of them wore hijabs.
Okay.
Because obviously, well, not obviously, but the salon in Selfridges, it's a bit off, but you walk through the salon to get to different departments.
Okay. Yep.
So obviously, if they're having their hair blow dried, you know, and a man walks past, that's
for sure.
That's not a risk they're willing to take. So we had things called VIP rooms. So sometimes I'd be in the VIP room all day, just blow drying hair. And the relationship you build with women in such a different social class to you.
Yes.
Like in my village, like everyone was white. No one was gay. Do you know what I mean? Like
right, yeah,
I was so sheltered. And then at 18, learning about all these other cultures and different lifestyles and things like this, my mind was blown daily.
For sure.
My mind's blown that people can't wash their own hair. Do you know what I mean?
No, but it's not even like, I mean, I've got a feeling you're gonna take negatively to this comment here, Zoe. But I haven't used shampoo in 21 months. It's almost 2 years now.
That's fine.
I'm glad.
The oils in your scalp rebalance.
Yeah, like it's 6 weeks of hell. It's horrible. And you know, the first person that's actually been like, "Oh, that's fine." It's normally like,
no, it's fine.
Let's avoid Wallace.
A few ladies when I was in Soho, did the exact same thing.
Well, hang on. So you don't wash your hair at all? Would you?
Well, I literally just use water, like
rinse
once or twice a day, and then just whenever I have a shower, really, and then I'll probably condition my hair and beard maybe once a fortnight.
Really?
Yeah, and I use a lot of beard oil for my beard, but I care much more about my beard than my hair.
To be fair, if I had a beard like that, I'd care a lot about it too.
Chris.
I'm so sad I can't grow a beard, honestly. It makes me so upset.
Yeah, but I'm sure if you left that, you'd get there.
Yeah, no, I do leave it. I don't get there.
He doesn't.
Just doesn't get there.
Chris just gets a little goatee, don't
Yeah.
you?
I have done the goatee thing before, but yeah, it's just, the only reason I started was I had such a fat chin. I just wanted to hide that.
Yeah.
The only reason it
Yeah, it's
kept
well
on
covered
going.
now. You can't see.
So why
that.
don't you just make your chin fatter by growing a big bush on it now?
Well,
What,
it's
you mean
kind of the
fat,
plan.
like, just at the end.
What's that?
Like what? Just fat? Like this bit's just fat.
Well,
Or
I've got like a double chin. Like,
right.
like
What,
or like
underneath?
You can't tell.
Yeah.
Have you got a bum chin under there?
Nah, I don't.
Like
No,
that?
I definitely don't have that. Yeah, but you're making that. That's the.
Yeah, my friend Abby used to have a bum chin, and honestly, she hates it. Absolutely hates it.
Abby.
Sorry, Abby, she won't be listening.
Yeah, no, and it's not the reason I have it anymore. In fairness, but I've had a beard. I think I've had a beard since late 15, mid 15. I was halfway through 15, something like that.
15 years
So yeah.
old?
Yeah, like it wasn't obviously like this, but it was
Right.
well,
I didn't
I-
get
What?
hair
Chris
on
didn't-
my back till I was
Chris didn't get
27.
pubes till like 25.
Well, I'm like proper beagle.
I'll be honest, Chris, this isn't put you under bus, I promise. I would say that was kind of what I had at 15.
Really?
Yeah.
What I've got now
What-
at 30.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
It was later
All right,
than that. It was
closing
later.
down, closing
Yeah,
down.
exactly. That's it. It's time to go.
Yeah.
So you've got a few sheep there. Was first lambing successful?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, it wasn't too bad, was it? We just landed them out on the hill that we were on. Lost a couple. So,
We didn't have a shelter, so the footwell of Chris's transit van was, well,
Yeah,
for warming lambs or whatever.
Nothing terrible, but yeah, it was nice weather and all that. Yeah, it was fine.
And what year was that? Sorry, how long ago was that?
That would have been
2015, 16.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
6 years ago.
2016, February
Was it 6 or 7?
2016.
then.
Almost 7 years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
And then, have you worked up numbers? How did that work?
We've gone up and down really. The second year we bought some of them little Welsh ewes.
Oh yeah.
And we had
I
reels and
love-
some little Welshies, and I think we had about 160 the second year.
Was
But-
that Welsh Mountain?
But it was between the
Welsh
first,
Mountain.
yeah,
Yeah.
between the first and second lambing, like you know how things are. Like you get a little bit of land, and we was trying to move on with bits, and I nearly packed it in where we because it was just we didn't have a trailer, so I was borrowing stuff off everyone. I didn't really have any land. Like it was real like
We nearly pack up every year.
it was a hassle.
Right. Okay. There's like the circle.
This was a real hassle, and I was thinking, oh, like, what have we done? We end up keeping our lambs right round to August. We sold some in boxes, actually, didn't we, to a few friends? And then another friend of my dad's, who's been really good. He had 100 Suffolk mule ewes, and he was like, if you want to buy them, you can buy them. He said, like, don't worry about the money for a sec. Hold on to them for a bit. This was in August. You'd hold on to them for a bit and sell them again in October, and you'd probably make a bit of money doing it. And we ended up doing that and selling them, but then buying a few more. And in between that bit of time, we actually got a bit more land and things like that. So
Right.
it was just a bit like it was basically trying to find land, which is just the hardest thing. And then well, anyway, we ended up about 160, 170 the second year. And then the third year, I don't know, I think we doubled it again. So I think we must have
Right.
gone up to about 300. And
Pretty
then
rapid growth though.
yeah, it was, but we was
Yeah.
getting bits of land, and like the thing was, we weren't afraid to do it either. Like, we bought a lot of coal ewes, and we was lambing coal ewes.
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, they weren't very dear. They weren't very dear to buy. So you didn't need huge amounts of money to do it.
Because we bought all the first year where we lambed a lot, we had all those clins, didn't we? How much were
Yeah.
they?
Oh, there was nothing. There was
They were
nothing.
like 40 quid or something.
No,
Oh really?
yeah, it's
cheaper
cheaper
than
than that.
that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, so we just went up. Yeah, so yeah, we did have fairly rapid growth, to be fair. Yeah, we did.
What are you at now roughly? Give or take?
I think we've got about 540 this year that's gone to the
Right.
tub.
But we've still got a load of lambs that we're holding until spring as well.
Yeah,
Whereas
so this
usually,
year,
we wouldn't have any lambs left really.
Well,
would
we try and hang some on, don't we? So we'd
Yeah, but
usually
not
run
this.
probably 100. We'd probably have 100 lambs probably this time of year, but we've got about 450 lambs left.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So I'd say what we got yeah, so we got about 540, I think, used to the ram, wasn't it? Something like that. I think
don't
there's
know anymore.
450 lambs. What was there? No, there's two. Might just be under that, but about 400 to 450 lambs, and then we've probably got about 80 coal ewes still left.
So you probably got over 1,000 head of.
Yeah, we'd
sheep.
have over
Yeah,
just
yeah.
over 1,000, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. No, good.
And we feel every single one of those
Yeah.
at the moment. We are struggling.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're quite spread out with them, aren't we? 'Cause the other thing is, like, we've got land on about 6 different people's farms, but we're trying to keep a finger in each pie, because one year, like, they've got loads to keep for you, the next year they haven't got any, and it's just trying to, like, make sure we can
Juggle.
stay, because we've
Yeah.
got no real base. If one of them gives us, like, or says we don't want to do it or whatever, we
Or
haven't,
rewilds.
like, or rewild.
Yeah. Big one at the minute, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because of the summer we had, a lot of people didn't put cover crops in. So some of these farms we were grazing last year, where I thought, well, this is the one, we're sweet. We're gonna have loads of cover crops next year. They didn't put any in at all. So, if that happened again, it's only because we spread ourselves thin that we've got a lot of avenues.
How far away are all the 6 places? Is there quite a distance?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Because they all fit on, I don't know, is it the same in Scotland where you have to have a CPH number, and then they've got to be within 10-mile radius?
I don't know the exact rules on that, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So like from our house, they could be 10 miles that way, but so there'd only be 20 miles
It's like
between
a
the two.
radius.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's probably not as far as that. Do you know what I mean? There's probably.
So that is all. You are all operating off one CPH.
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Right.
There's only one field that I haven't, where I've got some cows, and it was like 700 meters outside of it.
I know.
That was the guy
That's
the guy that called him whatever. He
Oh,
called him.
Yeah. That's what it was. Yeah. So
I don't know if that's something you want to mention. Maybe you don't live on the podcast, but yeah, that was funny.
yeah. So it's basically, I think it's 700 meters outside of 10 miles. That's why he was explaining to me how far a mile was. I was like, yes. Cool.
Thank you, sir. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard of a mile before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we're spread out. So like today, for example, we're obviously breaking ice on water troughs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just strolling out of. It sounds like such an easy task, but it's not just like strolling out our front door and doing it. It's like maybe driving like 20, 30 minutes, maybe more, in between places.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of driving.
Like even like we fill up the tank twice a week, probably, don't we, on the truck?
Yeah, we do a lot of diesel. Yeah.
Yeah, which isn't expensive in itself.
Yeah,
You're trying to get by.
We do nearly £1,000 a month.
We do over £1,000 a month
in fuel.
Yeah.
Do you?
Which is disgusting, isn't it, when you think about it?
Yeah, but we just can't. Like, things are coming. Like things are happening. We're starting to get bigger bits of land in different places, and we're getting a lot more of these arable boys being keen for us to graze things. Like, we got all our lambs on wheat stubble at the minute. Not all of them, but we're grazing a lot of wheat stubble. That's just regrowth, and a lot of them are getting more into this regenerative farming and things like that. So things are happening
more in the way that we want to as well, aren't we? I would say
that's a good thing. Yeah.
So it feels positive, but it's still very grueling.
It's hard to pursue something like you said there, Zoe. Sorry, Chris, but like you said, like you're doing it the way you want. It's hard to pursue something you're not strictly passionate about because you feel you have to. But if you're able to sort of move towards that, what you're wanting to do, that's better. All in if it's working.
We don't want to be in the truck, stuck in the truck with one another for like hours a day. Yeah, because we lose hours of a day.
Absolutely.
Going in between places, but especially I said it on my stories the other day, like the fact, like, everyone thinks the dark evenings are rubbish and it gets you a bit down, but when your day is cut so much shorter in the winter due to the day, the daylight that we get, the strain that it puts on you
It's
and
huge.
anyone that works outdoors. Like it is quite it can be quite frustrating, but we are governed by, well, the seasons and nature, aren't we?
Sure.
Accept.
But you're right though. If you can minimize that hour and a half or whatever you're spending in the car a day, like you're saving money on fuel and you've got more time for yourself to be on the ground for sure. It's been a hellishly warm summer, and I think down where you are, it was just about unbearable. I mean, I was struggling up here, and you probably think it was freezing compared to what you had down where you are. How has that impacted things? I've had a few folk on over the summer, like Carl Franklin, for example, that they had no grass. They were opening silage in almost July, like it was just a nightmare. How did that affect you guys?
Did you not see my drone video in the summer?
I did not.
Oh, mate,
It was the
Serengeti.
Like
So
really?
bad. Yeah.
Is it still on Instagram?
Yes.
And that? It wasn't like a story.
Was it on your Instagram?
It's on my it's on my it's on my page. Chris playing with
honestly,
drone.
it literally looks like zebras and giraffes are about to come out. Like,
it's not bad.
It's honestly, I've never. I think we're right down in the very southeast of England. We're half an hour from the coast. We're about as southeast as you can get, and I think we must have been the driest out of most places. Like,
oh really?
It was bad.
It's not a competition.
No, but
it's
some people are like, oh, we haven't had much rain, and then they like showed videos and they just had like green grass. I was like, mate, we haven't had a blade of green grass for like a month at least. Like, I don't know how we actually got through that looking back. Like, it was just long.
And
that is actually like the Serengeti.
Because you found it, yeah.
Yes.
I told you, yeah.
I'll try and show people that are watching on YouTube, so I'll keep making noise.
Yes,
that is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were grateful for those trees, to be honest.
Yeah.
They held like a tiny bit of dew. I mean, by the end of it, that that didn't even work. But at the start, like, we had the tiniest bit of green under those trees, and it at least gave them somewhere to, like, get away from it.
But most of our grazing as well, the water troughs aren't plumbed in.
Yeah.
Oh, see, okay.
Oh, mate.
So we were having to drive around. Well, some places we were filling it twice a day with an IBC on the back of the truck.
And the summer, like the summer, we usually get a bit of a break. So like June, July, August are like quite good for us. Like, there's stuff to do, but there's a lot of hours in the day, and it's like we get a bit of time off.
Yeah.
But that was like winter. That was like we were out watering every day, feeding bales of hay, feeding blocks.
Buckets.
It was grueling. Like,
and then
so
you're doing stuff.
And it was no end in sight.
But when would it end? Like,
yeah.
And also, which makes it sounds like some kind of sob story. I don't mean it to sound like that, but like Chris and I were looking at each other like, what can we sell? Like, what can we sell to make this a bit easier?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? We were thinking of selling like our breeding.
It was all the other things as well. Yeah. It was like, we do a lot of cut crops, turnips, all that sort of stuff. And we were like, if we'd never seen it before, and like no one had really, and they were like, if we put them in now, are they even going to grow? Are we going to be doing the fence in the same amount of area, grazing the same sort of area, like amount of acreage, but only be able to have 20% of the amount of sheep? Or like, what's the knock-on effect? Because we've never experienced it.
But
panic stage though. We was like calling other farmers like, did you get any rain last night? Did you get any rain last night? Everyone's got rain gauges. And all my Instagram friends were like, oh, we got 12 mil last night. And me and Chris were like, are you fucking kidding? Oh, excuse me. Are you kidding? We've got like a dead fly in ours. Do you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Nothing. And everyone was like, oh yes, it's coming with forecast rain. And we still weren't getting anything.
Yeah.
Even our friends like in East Sussex, which is like an hour away, had rain and it missed us. And then one time we had rain at home. We're like 20 minutes from the main farm. We had rain here and it didn't touch the farm.
Oh, that would have been so destroying.
Oh, the whole thing was just honestly, we just felt like it was just bad luck, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But then it cost us a lot of money, and then we were worried about what like being able to, what's going to happen, what's going to grow. But then the autumn has been so good. Like, it has been the best like where we've had farming, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, the grass growth's insane. The farm transformation, like, we've got like 8-inch thick grass, and it's like
lush.
Grass died. It was and what grew was like what was in the seed bank. So we had loads of new grass come up. So everything, like,
it's improved the grass
it's
quality.
been
hasn't it?
insane. Yeah, it's like nature had a little reset, and it's been insane.
I hope you've kicked your feet up and got comfy and enjoying another fantastic episode of the R2Kast with another really interesting guest. I would just like to quickly take another second to plug the sponsors of the show today, the Scottish Farmer, and I would strongly advise you to go out and pick one up this week and see even more of the fantastic people that are in our industry.
Well, I mean, here, we always say nature's better than us at all of this stuff. You know, I think when you're going through this, it's hard to believe sometimes, but it normally is followed by good, as horrible as that period at the time might feel.
Yeah.
When you're mentioning grass there, are you guys cutting silage yourself, or are you...
No.
None of that? Are you not using any...
On the farm, they shut up about probably at 40 acres, and they make hay and then they sell it.
Right.
But I'm slowly trying to get them not to do that, really, because I'd rather graze it, and they never really they don't sell a lot. We end up buying most of it anyway, and I just think it'd be easier if we just graze it. So just like,
yeah.
But yeah, so we spent a fortune on hay as well. You know, we fed twice the amount of hay this summer than we did all of last winter.
And we had goats in the barn.
Winter.
Yeah, all of last winter.
Yeah, and we had goats in the barn, locked in.
Mm.
That's mental.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So we're going into winter now, and we're just like we've blown the hay budget twice already.
And the snow's coming tonight.
We got snow coming now. Luckily, it skipped us so far. We hadn't had any snow, and we're usually quite good in the southeast again, because we're just a little bit warmer. I think we just miss it, don't we?
I'm just actually trying to work out. Are you right at the south of Kent?
No.
Have you ever been over to France?
No, I haven't, but I know kind of. I know Essex. I don't know Kent.
Okay, so
Yeah,
do you know
we're further than Essex.
like where you get ferry to France and the Eurotunnel? We're about 40 minutes north from there.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
No, we can get on the Eurotunnel in about 30 minutes from here.
Right.
We? From this door,
Yeah.
we'd be on the Eurotunnel.
We'd be in France in an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
We're right on the. Yeah, we're right down there.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we're classed as North Kent, but.
Right. Okay. Got you. No, it's just because when you mentioned earlier about your grandfather with a plane, it was Southwest, wasn't it? Because I used to work for 2 summers. I did harvests in Bradwell, which is like just east of Southend.
Right.
Just like Burnham and Crouch and that sort of thing. That whole peninsula. But there was a question I was going to say. What was it? Yes. You mentioned a word about probably half an hour ago, Chris. Teg. Is that a castrated lamb?
No, that's like a shearling, like a year-old sheep.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So like, like a two-tooth.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I know. Shearling.
I don't know what.
Is it
a gimmer. Yeah. What would you guys call it? I suppose.
Oh no, that's female. This is getting into a lot of problems. So wait, is a teg a female shearling?
Yes, but 18-month-old sheep.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. I got you. Because it's funny. I thought you meant a castrated lamb because I was teaching. What would you say? Weather for that?
Yeah, weather.
Yeah. I was teaching at work and I mentioned weather, and someone said, "Oh, we'd call that a teg."
Oh really?
Oh really?
So yeah. So I said, this is the most annoying thing about sheep. Like,
imagine a hairdresser trying to learn the language. Oh my god!
It makes you feel better. I'm confused as well, Zoe. So don't worry.
Especially because I used to like go to the market with Chris when I was obviously still hairdressing, and the only reason I learned stuff is I just used to listen to everyone's conversation. But like, a Romney sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So one old boy might call it a Romney, or a pen of Romneys. One might call it a pen of Kents.
All right, okay.
Same sheep.
Yeah, we call Romney Kents because we're in Kent.
Because we're in Kent.
We call them Kents.
Oh,
so I was like, and then I think Chris said, "Oh yeah, I had a pen of Kents out," and he brought them in. I was like, no, that's a Romney. Like I was so confused, and there was loads of things like that. Like I didn't know. Like with cows, I'm way worse, but there was a lovely lady at the market, and she sat with me one day and watched all the cows sell, and she basically taught me everything I know, which isn't a lot, and kind of said why that one made more money, the different breeds, blah blah blah. Because, you know, I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know
for sure,
some were for milk, some were for beef. I just thought there was one type, you know, one
cow, one sheep,
you know
one
what I
pig.
mean? Like, a cow is white and black.
Zoe's
why
like
would
the
you
most
get more?
perfect insight into like townies, like, but not being rude, and I hate that word, but like, do you know what I mean? Just people that have no idea about farming. Like Zoe's like the perfect, like, you've had a proper crash course, and
Yeah.
like,
But I
think
think
she
that's really
probably knew
interesting.
nothing about farming. Like,
Nothing.
she wouldn't know the front
Yeah.
end, back end of a cow. Do you know what I
No,
mean?
but like, I didn't know just silly things. Like, the
Anything.
first time, I don't want to sound like a ditzy hairdresser here, because I'm really not, but like the first time I wouldn't have known how they mated, because I wouldn't have known that the penis was halfway down the body. So whose penis?
Right, okay. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
their penis is where their belly button should be. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
a
Yeah.
non-farm,
Yeah,
how would a non-farmer know that a sheep's
Where
penis
is it?
literally
Yeah.
where its belly button is? Like, it should be at its genital, like it should be at the genital end with it, where
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely.
just silly things like that.
But it's not silly. Like, this is the thing. Like, we because we were all in farming and whatever, and like it's our thing and whatever. Like, you meet people that don't know that. But if you put me in a salon, yeah, like, I'd be like, is this scissors? I don't know. Like, you know, like, it's. I think it's because it's just because we, our industry, we're all in it. It's what we have, and it's cool to see someone come in and you're obviously passionate about it and you love it and you're just in it now, you know.
Yeah.
Which is great. But that having sat down with someone is actually very useful. You know, yeah, trying to sort of go over everything.
Can I just quickly say something quickly on that point? There's always, obviously, I'm a woman, obviously, but like, people always fixate on like a woman coming into farming, but I think it's a better thing, like a non-farming hairdresser going into farming. Like, that's more interesting than just the fact I'm a woman. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And people always say like, oh, women in farming, a woman coming into farming. And I just think it's more, it doesn't matter that I'm a woman. It's more the fact you've gone from like one world to like a completely opposite one. That's way more interesting for people, I think.
Like, profession into farming as opposed to female into farming. Yeah, that's a really good way of putting that, actually. Yeah. Do you get involved in like women in farming, Zoe?
It's the angle of like, whenever like the news, like not newspapers, magazines want to talk to Zoe, it's always the angle they sort of have. Like, I guess there's not a lot of, well, there's loads less women in it than men, so that's sort of all that's where they come from every time. Like,
it's always the questions that I'm asked are always, oh, and did you feel conscious of being a woman when you went to the market? Or
I was aware I was a woman. Yes.
yeah.
Like, well,
I was the only woman there. Like, obviously,
I was the only one that didn't go round the back for a wee. Do you know what I mean? Like, no shit. It just, but I think I think it's one of those things, like, it's almost a novelty, but no, it's not a novelty.
No, it's not.
There are so many women that have built farms from scratch and run, like Chris's nan, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Ran that farm on her
There's some
own.
proper
It's not a
hardcore
new
women
thing.
out there. Like,
It's not a new thing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I did my master's, I'm sure the figure was 67% of farmers globally are women.
Really?
Yeah. Now that takes into the case pretty much all farmers on farms in Africa that are running the farm. There's the sort of money-making male, shall we say, and the farm is run by the female. But yeah, I'm positive it was 67% or 68%. Something like that.
Have you heard of Microloan, the charity?
I don't think so.
Well, I did I keep in touch with them quite a bit, because I did a bit last year with them. And what they do basically, if you don't find it interesting, then just tell me, but they work with women to help them build successful farming businesses. So they would give them training, financial training, all sorts, and basically, you know, they give them a bit of finances as well, but they build businesses. And some of these girls, honestly, I've never seen like entrepreneurial mindsets like it. and they completely run these farms on their own from scratch. So obviously there's guys too, but it's predominantly women, and that was a huge eye-opener to actually, we are incredible at farming. Like,
yeah, and it's an insight into
like nurturing, all sorts. It's incredible.
Sure. Well, this is the thing, and like this is always, I always think this is a topic I get into quite often. It's like treacherous waters to talk about, but there's things I might get shouted at here, I might get comments in the YouTube.
I know exactly what you're going to say.
Yeah, there's things men are better at, and there's things women are better at. That's just a thing. Like, it's not an offensive thing. It's a thing.
Zoe is more nurturing and loving than me. Like, if there's a lamb that's down and sick, I give it to Zoe because she's gonna bring it back around better than I'm gonna. If
the best people I've seen the lamb and shed are female.
If I've got a ewe struggling to lamb, Zoe's hands, mate, she's like a lambing machine. Honestly, there ain't nothing we can't get out. Like, she's got these fucking crazy little hands, and you know, she's just better at lambing than me. Simple as that.
Absolutely, yeah.
But equally, if I need
a run and rugby tackle the sheep, then I do it, and then she lambs it. You know,
exactly, and that's like I hate this idea that we've got to say everyone's perfect at everything, because it's just not the case. Like, and then you get in trouble for saying this, and I'm like, but how can you get in trouble for saying that?
Social media makes me die, right? Because obviously I'm very honest on mine. Chris has now got one, and he's very honest on it. And people obviously like to have an opinion, because that's the day and age. If you're going to put your life on social media, you've got to expect you're going to have people's opinions. But when the thing that gets the biggest reaction is if Chris acts like a chauvinistic pig towards me, people
God, Chris, all the time.
He's joking. Like, our relationship wouldn't survive if we didn't take the mick out of each other continually.
Oh, you've got to.
You've got to.
Like, people can't handle the joke.
People just go wild. Like, if Chris says, "Oh, it's a pink job," it's obviously a joke. And I said the other day about, it's such a boring story, but I said that I was slacking on the washing, so I had to go and buy Chris some clean jeans to go to the pub from Asda, right? And I just did it as a flippant, I think it was a boomerang, for God's sake, a flippant thing. I was like, why is it down to you to do the washing? Why can't Chris do his own washing? I was like, because I'm better at it. I do the washing because I'm better at that. And Chris does mechanical things on the car because he's better at that. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
exactly.
And like, there's no, like, I don't know. People really jump down my throat. Like, sometimes like, oh, go and treat your missus better. And I'm like,
all the time.
How do you know? Like, we show like a tiny little speck of our lives on the internet, and you think you know what happens between us 24/7. Like,
that's exactly it. Like,
it's so frustrating. Well, I'm not.
It makes
I
us
just
laugh.
About
it makes us laugh. So honestly, it makes us laugh so much. Chris used to reply and be like, "Hang on a minute," like. One time he put a video up of me pushing the electric fence barrow, and our old electric fence barrow used to be completely so I'm literally walking like this, and he said something like, he pretended to whip me, and like, I was like walking
along like doing nothing. She was doing all the work, and I was just like having a laugh,
to whip her.
And I was calling her little donkey and stuff.
He calls me little donkey all the time, bear in mind.
And like, we just
don't think it sounds offensive anyway. Like,
some woman went absolutely mad. Like, I had to block her, and I don't block anyone. Like, I had to block her because it was just getting ridiculous
and being offensive to you, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was going mad, and like, I've never seen anyone blow up like that before in my life. And then somehow she turned it on the fact that like she was a survivor of like an abusive relationship, and I was like, what on earth has this got to do with anything? Like,
exactly.
Like, it went mad, and I just thought, how has anyone got time to like? I don't know. Like,
she was triggered, and she was entitled to be triggered because she's obviously been through trauma. But I didn't think it was fair to then project that onto someone else who was having a joke with their own missus.
But you weren't nobody wants someone to go through domestic trauma, but you weren't encouraging that. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. You know.
It was mental. It was like, I don't know. I couldn't believe it. Really, I was just like,
you do get some. I mean, like, you guys have got a notable larger following myself, but I do some videos with a sort of BBC wing up in Scotland called BBC Social, and you just do it's like content creation. It's not like long form content. It's like 3 or 4 minutes. And I did one this year where I basically just followed a yow having a lamb, or actually having twins, in the lambing shed until the lambs went out. 3 minutes, really positive, really nice, really enjoyable. And this woman, Eleanor, who comments on all my posts, shout out
Hi,
Eleanor. Hello, Eleanor, with your sunflower profile picture, so no one knows what you look like.
What, a sunflower, not a cat?
Well, exactly.
They usually have cats.
I hate that because I love cats.
I know. And my friend Fiona's got a cat as hers, and I always feel guilty because I always say, "Oh, another one with a cat profile picture," and I go, "Oh, sorry, Fiona."
But it's not your cat's Facebook. Anyway, we're getting into different things. I just posted this really nice video, and one of the comments I got from it was, "You scum of the earth effing sea, you're the one that should be slaughtered," right? And then the next one was,
wow.
This is insane. Like, it's insane. How would you feel if I turned up to the birth of your child and cut its head off, right? And I was like, first off, I would hate that. But secondly, I didn't cut anything's head off. Where did that
I know.
come from?
It's mad, isn't it, the internet? Just crazy.
Yeah. Like, but could you
Facebook's
imagine saying that
worse.
to a person, though? Like, actually saying that to a person? Like, you'd be put in jail.
No, it's
Facebook
just-
is worse than Instagram. Instagram,
Definitely.
I do feel, is like my safe space. And
Yeah.
people always say, "Oh, why haven't you branched into Twitter and Facebook?" Well, because I don't want to commit suicide.
Don't go near Twitter.
You know
It's
what I
lethal.
mean? Like, it's just not for me at all. People
Yeah.
are so vile. My mental health could not handle being called an FNC every day.
Yeah.
I get that from him, is it? No, I'm
Yeah,
joking.
that's it. That's
Sorry.
Don't trigger
Don't
him.
say that.
Don't trigger him.
But you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't. Whereas on Instagram, I'll maybe get like 2 or 3 a year that call me a murderer or something like
Yeah.
that, and then I just block them and it's done.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. No, Twitter's bad, and I don't do Twitter, but I'm conscious it is bad. Well, on social media, when did social media start for you both? Because you're both got pretty notable followings on, in particular, Instagram. When and why did that start?
Zoe started.
Well, I
was it
started
4
it.
years ago, wasn't it? You put a post up.
Yeah,
the other
4
day.
years ago. I wanted a free pair of wellies.
Okay. Yep.
If
Yeah.
I'm totally honest.
No, you started doing
No,
it
I'm
as
joking.
well. Like,
No, half joking. So basically,
You're not fully joking. I know you're not.
half joking. So my clients in the salon, I was telling them a bit like I was saying about the blue nails. I was telling my clients and like our friends and family.
can you imagine what her Instagram was like before she started farming?
I could guess. Yes.
Haircuts, Zoe. You know what I mean? Pretty girls going out,
My legs on a sunbed.
that sort of stuff.
Of course. Yeah. That's what mine was like before I started this.
Yeah.
Um,
Look at my new eyelashes, all of that. That was my life.
So then she was showing a few things of like what we started doing at the farm and just animals being born and weird stuff like that. And then people just found it really interesting. So,
But it was for our friends and my clients.
Yeah.
I wasn't
going
ever
to lucrative.
I wasn't ever posting it for like strangers, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people start social media to educate or to get followers or
For sure.
to do all of those things, but mine was like at the start it was private as well, for people that knew us really.
Yeah.
And then I started. It was never meant to be what it is now. Like, it was
Yes.
never meant to be a platform. And when people say platform, I literally want to die. It was never ever meant to be something like that. And I just kind of just rolled with it really, because actually it's quite nice to be friends with people. Like, I have friendship with people all over the country that are the exact same as me but don't live near me. And I don't have many, like, in hairdressing is predominantly women, and your relationship with your clients, etc., like, you work such long hours, your relationship with them is deep. Like, I've been through IVF with women, I've been through loss with women, I've been through cancer, like, I've been through all these like incredible in a way situations with people. I've seen them every 6 weeks for like 5 years, some of these women.
For sure. Yeah.
I know everything, and I love chatting, as you can tell. I mean, how many hours in are we in? Like, I love chatting, and I love finding that one detail with strangers that gives you a really enriching conversation. That's like my favorite
Yes,
thing.
I know exactly what you
Like,
mean.
if you're in a bar and it could just be the tiniest little thing, and you think I could sit and chat to you all night. I love finding that thing, and it doesn't matter if it's like an 85-year-old old boy in the queue at the market, or it could be like a 4-year-old. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's my favorite thing.
I always lose Zoe at parties. If we go to a party, we just go in different directions.
Oh
And
yeah,
that's
we
it.
don't.
We don't see each other at all.
It's my favorite thing.
I'm a
And
bit of a Zoe at parties. I'm like, I want to talk to you.
The best way to be.
Talk about
Best way to be. And like, I just love that. So I've got a client hairdresser relationship with hundreds of people around the entire country. Who wouldn't want that? That's genuinely how I feel. And if Chris goes, "Oh, Zoe, stop being on your," like, if we're in the car on the way, like from farm to farm or whatever, "Oh, Zoe, get off your phone," and I'll literally be having like 20 different conversations, completely random, with different people. And that's what I use social media for.
I think it's good though, because you like that sort of got off your phone, right? I get that. Looking at screens all the time is not great, but like,
not healthy
for sure. But also, social media has this relatively negative sort of idea around it for the reasons we just mentioned, Twitter, Facebook, all that. But there is so many positives to social media, like so many, and that one is the main one. Like, I mean, I'm the same. I've got friends. I was speaking to Emma Gray, you know, like from This Farm in Life, for about 4 hours last week. Like, you know, just these people that you would never have a connection with, and you sit and speak to them forever, and you get to know these people that, like, in some ways, celebrity is not the word, is it? But they're certainly recognizable in our sector. You know, it's brilliant. And then you get friends with these people, and I think a lot of people, you guys are maybe almost at that level, maybe not quite. Sort of, we dehumanize like the Yorkshire Shepherdess, we dehumanize like Emma Gray, that sort of thing, and they're just this social media thing or TV thing, and you forget they're just a normal person. They're just
the media do it, don't they? The media create them into like some untouchable, but Emma especially would absolutely hate to be seen as anything but human.
And I asked her that. I was like, "Question: Are you famous?" And she was like, "That's why I said the recognizable thing." She was like, "I'm recognizable in this circle, but I'm not famous." And I'm like, I think that's quite a nice way to keep it, because if you do think you're famous, then you get a bit lost in it and whatever. But yeah, it's the whole platform, like you said, influencer thing is quite strange. As you know,
it's an ugly place.
What's that?
It's an ugly place.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do. That's how I feel.
I mean, like, I was on a podcast last week. Like, I was on the podcast, and I think my following's roughly 8,000 over everything. Like, it's really not much. And someone said,
I don't think that's much. 8,000.
But that's the thing. Like,
but picture 8,000 people in a stadium.
Yeah, for sure. But when you consider, like, if you're looking at the whole picture, but yeah, you make a really good point. But they said, "Are you an influencer?" And I'm like, I don't think I am nearly as much on social media as I am in my job, because I'm literally influencing people's careers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then I started to think about it. I'm like, no, I am. And I think anyone that posts stuff anywhere or tells people something is an influencer.
Yeah.
Because if someone likes listening to you and they're like, "Oh, this guy's sound," or "This girl's, you know, talking a good game," you know, whatever, they like buy into that. And I think a lot of us probably are, even though we don't really want to say it.
A lot of us are influenced all the time by it as well. Like, especially like Instagram. If it works really well with all the marketing stuff. Like, if I see someone wearing like a decent coat and I think, "What is that coat?" then I buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I am, you constantly are being influenced, and that could be someone with like 100 followers. It don't matter. Like, if they're doing the job that I do and they got a coat on that's warm, you know, it's weird how the way it works.
Do you know, I was influenced by someone that definitely doesn't even have a phone.
Yeah. Her last coat she bought, yeah.
We went to Cumbria, right?
No, this is in Yorkshire. So we went to Cumbria. We went over to Halls in Yorkshire as a market.
The cutest livestock market I've ever been to in my life.
This old boy was going around with his coat on. And so
he was like, selling in the ring.
"I need that coat." Right. What is that? He was walking around the ring with his lambs. Every time we went past, we were trying to catch the logos. We were like, anyway, she bought it, and then we had about 30 messages of people wanting the same coat. So this
really?
old boy, without knowing, has now influenced. Like, yeah. So
There
the
you are.
people that made that coat owe that man a free one because.
And he's probably had that coat about 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Probably. But then it's so weird that to the point of Holland's like country clove
Yeah.
gave me a discount code because so many people were buying the coat. So this one old boy in this like market of like, God, how many people?
Yeah,
like a handful of people, the smallest market in the world I've ever been to. And this one man who probably lives in the middle of nowhere, and that's his one time to shine, and he influenced God knows how many people.
You must owe him a jacket. You've got it.
I owe him more than I owe him a conversation, I think, to find that little thing we've got in common. But yeah, no, that was really nice actually, that market.
That is, yeah. Do you know, you used to just say, I can't even remember what it was you said about a minute ago, and it's just, I absolutely love both of your accents. When I so like, it's slightly different to Essex, and maybe this is offensive to say it, but it sounds similar to me. I absolutely loved it. It's great to hear. But I had another. There's two more things I really want to go over. One, I think, well, kind of two together, very good, and one maybe quite negative. But I'll leave the negative one till last.
End on a high.
Yeah.
I'll go the other way.
We're meant to be the Christmas special.
Yeah.
We're meant to be the Christmas special.
Let's go negative first.
Right, okay, let's do negative first. I have a feeling I'm going to ask something about this. You guys have talked about, certainly a lot in the last probably fortnight, maybe 3 weeks, about something that annoys me more than just about anything on this planet, and it's dog attacks. And it seems you are just being targeted. Not targeted, but you've just had a bad run of luck. How's it affecting you? I don't even know how to ask that.
I'm actually having a week off Instagram at the minute. Like I say,
Right.
a week.
More than a week.
I haven't been on there for about a week since I last posted about the dog attacks because my Instagram started because I was just taking the mick and just being light. And then, it's like in farming, like there's so many negative things that happen that even just talking about farming sounds negative half the time because you're always up against it. Like it's
for sure. Yeah.
Like, we were saying, like the weather, like it always sounds like you're talking about a sob story whenever you like someone asks what it's like. You're like, oh, well, this is happening. And it always sounds so dark and depressing. And then I find myself talking to people on Instagram about the negative stuff that's happening. So I've just got no escape. Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
So I just can't really be bothered to like do it at the moment. But yeah, the dog attacks, they just seem to be relentless. Like, and it's not only us. Like, it seems to be happening so much. Like, people are just so careless and like
nonchalant.
Just don't seem to care. Like, I don't know, but do
you know what
we had 3 in 4 days, and I think it just about tipped me over because
that's soul destroying.
We've got all these things going on, and like genuinely, we're working 7 days a week, and if we lose a day doing something, then we can't make up that time, especially this time of year, because it's not like you can just do it in the dark.
No, for sure.
We don't have time to be doing all the things we're doing,
like
moving electric fences, like moving sheep, doing all these bits that we're doing. And then when you get a dog attack and you got to go down there, you got to get all the sheep in, you got to deal with these people, deal with the police, deal with all the fallout, all the stress of it, all the worry that you use of lost lambs and that they're dead in ditches and all of that stuff. It's just so much. And last week, honestly, it was a lot. Like it was just, it was like every day. I couldn't believe it. The last one, someone rang me. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
we thought it was a prep because it was our friend driving past that saw the dog in with the sheep.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that.
So when he rang Chris thought he was that he was, playing a sick joke. Yeah. He didn't think it was real life.
Yeah, mad. But yeah, I don't know how you get the message across anymore. I mean, even today it was foggy, and there's a fella like walking around the field, and his dog was in the electric fence, like in with the sheep, and he was on the outside. But I put the electric fence so close to the hedge so that people couldn't walk around it.
Oh yeah.
He was like, I don't know how he wasn't getting electric shock off it. Like there was like
his
2
dog
inches
must have
either
gone
side
under
of
the
him.
wire.
He didn't have it on a lead, like, and I was just like, mate, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, exactly.
That was his actual reaction. Went, mate,
I was so hungover this morning as well.
okay?
You know, when you're a bit tipsy still, I was like, what are you doing? Like, why? Like, I was so mad. He ended up being all right, and we chatted and that. But I was just like,
He was like, sorry, mate, I didn't see the sheep over there. I was like, how?
like, well, and this is the problem. Like, people can't be bothered to walk their dogs. Like, they get a dog, they like, especially this time of year, they get home from work, it's dark, they let it out. As soon as they see a field, they just let it off and let it burn all its energy. But that field has usually got our sheep in. Like, that's the problem.
Okay.
And the other thing is, like, they're on their phones. They don't even look up. So they walk through like a little wood, and they come out into a field full of sheep, and they're on their phones. They didn't even look up to see that there's sheep in there, you know?
My question to those folk is, why do you have a dog? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know why they've got a dog, because they
Lockdown.
bought the dog during lockdown.
Yeah.
They weren't lonely at home.
They're all lockdown dogs that are 2 or 3 year old now that are driving them crazy. They haven't got any time for them.
But their kids are in love with it, so they can't rehome
But
it.
the kid don't walk it, you know.
Pet dogs are such a strange thing. I mean, I don't have a pet because I know, one, I wouldn't do it justice, and two, I just don't want one at the minute. Like, but I feel like
That's okay. We're not judging you.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're not judging
But-
you. You can not have a pet. It's fine.
But that's my point. Like, but like I was with someone that really wanted a dog, and I'm like, but we don't have time. You're not going to do that animal justice. You're just not going to do it. And I won't comment, but you know, I feel like that should be part of the thought process. It's not just getting a cute photo of the dog by the fire. Like, it's so much more to
But
that.
they did have time during lockdown.
That's true, but
did
they
have
knew that
time.
wasn't going to exist.
Yeah,
And
well,
it
that's
was
the thing.
such a dark time that everyone wanted something to bring them a bit of hope or bring them a bit of joy.
Which I get, in fairness.
What I want is dogs to have a passport. So every dog has a passport, and you know, like cows, just as simple as that. When they're puppies and you go and get them microchipped, they take a little DNA, saliva DNA, that profile's attached to that passport, and so that dog is fully traceable. Because the one thing that annoys me is when we get these dog attacks, because we can get DNA off the sheep where they've bitten the sheep.
Yeah,
you can get the dog's DNA, but there's no way of finding that dog unless it's committed an offence before.
Okay.
In the last
Yeah, because they only keep the DNA on record for 6 months, which again needs extending because that's ridiculous.
So is there no DNA chip correlation?
No. Well,
Right.
yeah, there is. They did. So they got the microchip. So if my dog was to attack someone's sheep, the police could come and swab my dog and take her reading of her microchip, and then they've got the two together there, so they know that I own that dog and that dog's DNA is to that microchip. But if the dog's not microchipped, which we had one of the dogs that attacked the sheep wasn't microchipped, once they got that DNA profile, they've got nothing. So it's just ridiculous.
True. Yeah.
Like the whole thing's stupid. So the police are coming out doing all this work, but they can't do that extra step because there's no, enforcement.
Yeah.
And there's also not a lot of like a police officer can do. They haven't got a lot of powers to seize the dog, because you get a feel for these people. Yeah, you get a feel for a dog that's completely out of control and an owner that just doesn't care. And they're not going to change their ways. And they're the sort of dogs that you've got to like prosecute. If they live locally to you, then you've got to say that dog needs to be seized, and something needs to happen with it.
That's what we said to the husky owner. We were like, now it knows the sheep are here, and now it's literally ripped the throat out of a sheep. You never let that dog around your kids. And she was pregnant, and I said to her, woman to woman, do not have that dog around when you have that baby. And that baby, I overstepped the mark there, but now that
I
dog
think that was kind of you
for that. But now
they'd only owned it a couple of days.
Seeing the damage it did, but seeing the damage it did to that sheep, I wouldn't even want that around me.
No. And I don't know. Yeah,
it was pure instinct.
There's a lot I'd like to do. Like, if there's ever anyone that tries to push a bill through to get like licenses of dogs, or you have to have a license. So me as a person, if I own a dog and it goes like something happens, then that's like a black mark against my name. If it happens twice, I'm not allowed to own a dog. Like, because it's just getting so ridiculous now. Like, these people, and you get some of these dog walkers, right? They walk like 10 dogs at a time. And they're all off leads running about, and they haven't got a clue the character of them dogs. Like, they don't know them. I just, there's a lot of things that annoy me, but.
So the attacks are actual physical attacks. They're not just worrying.
Like the last one wasn't was just worrying.
Not
but
just worrying.
Yeah, but it
That's
was
not
only because
worrying.
people were there and caught it. You know, it took 3 people 10, 15 minutes to catch this
the
dog.
dog.
Like, and just at the end, like that was the point where it started biting the lambs.
Because the lambs had got tired, so they couldn't out.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he just started. I think the dog just started working out to grab them. You know, because that's how it starts. They chase them, then they bite them, then they kill them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Then they got the rage, haven't they? Like,
But it's getting in
but-
touch with. I think it's them relearning their kind of instincts and relearning behavior
it's the kill,
that's
isn't it?
that's in them.
It's the kill. But yeah, so no, the first 2 that week were physical attacks. So like we lost 3 sheep from them. And then the last one was worrying, literally just worrying.
But the scary thing is these yows are going to be in lambs, so you've lost that 3, but it's a horrible thought. You don't really know if the full effects are finished yet. You know?
The last one that was just the worrying was on lambs. If that had been on ewes and seeing on the video that our friends sent them laying down with exhaustion, guaranteed they'd have aborted.
The lambs were so dogged that they were exhausted. They were just laying out in the field, just knackered.
Even when the dog was still running around.
They're nice, fit lambs. They're not in terrible nick.
Sure, yeah.
You know, they're fit things. So
if that had been used, there'd be abortion.
Yeah, definitely.
Aborted lambs all over the shop. Not that I'm trying to make it. Oh, it's not as bad as if it was used. It's still really.
No, it's true though. It's true.
Yeah, it's true.
From my point of view, like majority of the people I chat to online aren't from farming.
Mm-hmm.
So when I put things on about dog attacks, they're like, "Oh God, poor sheepy," and things like that, and that's lovely. That is, they're not in farming and they're listening and they can see from our point of view. But equally, I speak to people that will say, "Oh, I let my Labradoodle off all the time, and she doesn't care about sheep at all." And I think you haven't got the message here at all, have you?
No,
like you haven't. Like
the dog just
the
has
worst
to
dog attack we had was golden retriever.
They
was it?
Soppiest golden retriever, wasn't it, Chris? Beautiful dog.
Mm.
And it ripped out the throats of 6 Hebrideans. One went on to the next one, went on to the next one.
Just efficient, just really efficiently.
Efficient, yeah.
And it's true though. Like, I mean, you've seen some of these hyper trained dogs, like in the military and stuff like that, and you know, like they walk under the owner's legs and all that sort of thing. That dog is still capable of twisting and just twitching, and suddenly, oh my God, you know, bang. I hate that. My dog wouldn't.
I hate the way they talk back to you. So like I'll say to someone, they come through the farm, I say, "Look, can you put your dog on the lead? There's no sheep in here." And I just think that's not my point. Like that dog could put a rabbit up in 2 feet's time, go under that fence, and then it's in my sheep, and then I'm going to shoot it. So what would you rather? Because this is what I come to now. That's a conversation I have with people.
But as soon as you say,
I'm like,
mention shoot.
But that's what I say now because I'm so frustrated.
Suddenly you're the enemy.
I don't care about that. It's just the way they talk back to you straight away. Like they're so argumentative. I'm like, would you put your dog on a lead? And instead of them going, "Oh yeah, do you mind me asking why?" or something like that, and I say, "Yeah, because I've just had a few dog attacks." Like, do you know what I mean? I'm a bit, you know.
Or we've got newborn lambs in the field next door, or
it's 100 yards clipping the dog.
Also, do you need a reason?
Yeah,
you know,
that's what I mean. And so now I'll just get really upset with them. I'll just like, please, just.
No, rightly so. I'm kind of glad we didn't finish on that actually.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you for the guidance.
What's the positive?
You're like a seasoned, almost famous podcaster, and you were going to end it with that Debbie Downer.
In fairness, not end it. There's always 2 questions at the end, but still, you make a good. I'm sorry. Okay, I try my best. The last point is sort of 3 things that's all happening that I see as are doing that's quite cool. Selling sort of instead of selling at market, sort of selling boxes of, well, I'm guessing it's whole lambs, half lambs, whatever. Also, you're now an author, Zoe, just fun, and also apparel. So you sort of went down the clothing line as well. So could you tell us about those 3 things?
Can I just say, I went to the oldest pub in London yesterday, was watching the football, very, very merry. Some random woman come up to me and was like, "Oh my God, I love your missus." What? Like,
So you're the famous one, Zoe. You're the famous one.
how crazy is that? I was like, what?
She's a friend of mine online, like pen pal online.
Oh, she was a
Yeah.
famous author.
And
She's
I'm
a famous author. She's
so-
written 2 books. I was like, what?
I'm so furious that he met her in real life and wouldn't have even appreciated what a babe she
For sure,
you know
yeah.
what I
We got
mean?
on, like, she was nice, but it just took
I
me
would have
away.
killed
So.
to meet her like in real life. Like we've chatted for a long, do you know what I mean?
But yeah, the
number-
book's crazy.
So number 1,
Have you bought it yet?
No.
He ain't
Oh,
there.
yes, no.
That's it. It's over.
I tell you what, if you share this, I'll buy it.
That's
touche,
fine.
my friend,
Done.
touche.
You don't have to pay till April, so just order it.
I did see that. Yeah, I saw you
Yeah,
saying that.
yeah, it's crazy. We
how
never knew
crazy?
that.
How crazy is that?
Also, if it's like, because it's like 16 quid, if it comes down to 12 quid before April,
Yeah, you
that's
pay.
the price you pay. Yeah, it's mental. We never. This whole thing's been such a learning curve for us. The whole book writing thing, and
Basically, how it
Mad.
started was a bird emailed me in lockdown, number 1 lockdown, when I was in
Yeah.
the caravan, and it was quite surreal, really. She was from Penguin Random House, but a different section. And she kind of said to me, have you thought about it? Blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, I enjoy reading. I do enjoy writing. I've written journals and God knows what to try and stop me having breakdowns in the past, really. Written it down as like a coping thing. And yeah, so I guess I would be up for it. What kind of thing are you thinking? And it just didn't really go anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Zoe was crazy excited though. Like, we were lambing.
Yeah.
Zoe was like running, like so happy. Like that night was like writing down notes and like, you know, like had a notebook out writing loads of stuff. Like that was like,
yeah, I loved it.
Zoe really wanted
Because
to do
I
it.
never thought that it would be an option for me. Not because I doubt myself or anything, but I just wouldn't even know how to come about writing. Like, I
It's
would know
quite surreal, isn't
write
it?
a book, but
Yeah, it's
like to
crazy,
get a
like-
book published, I wouldn't even know where to start, especially
Yeah.
not a known publishers. Do you know what I mean? Like, anyway, it didn't come about, but I still carried on writing. I thought, hang on, do you know what? It doesn't hurt me having material ready for one day.
No.
You know, even in like 40 years, I then have a book that I could, like, I don't know. I just
I
carried
know
on.
what you mean. Yeah.
And I carried on, and then lambing the next year, a lady called Lizzie emailed me again, said, have you ever thought about writing a book? I was like, oh, funny you may mention that. And sent her some of my stuff, and then a week later they rang me with an offer or a proposal, and they drew up a contract, and I shit myself basically and realized that it was not my, we were saying before, like some people, like we all have our strengths, what we're good at.
Yeah.
And that is not something. So I outsourced, and I got a literary agent called Charlie, and Charlie is an absolute angel, isn't he?
Yeah.
If I'm ever worried about something, I ring him and suddenly it's like,
The whole book thing though came to you, didn't it? It was like you never thought about writing a book
oh no, they just
till
think,
someone
yeah.
suggested it. Like, so
Yeah.
it's been that's part of the whole Instagram
It's been the
journey,
right time
isn't it?
at the right place.
Been the whole
And so yeah, I
part of
wrote
it.
it, and then it's years and years and years of back and forth emails and like weeks. Like I sent my finished copy to them, and then I didn't hear back because they're busy and they've got other people writing books.
For sure, yeah.
They didn't email me back for like 2 weeks. So I had 2 weeks of hell thinking, oh my God, they're gonna like retract
Yeah.
contract. And I've told my granddad that I'm writing a book, and I'm not gonna be writing a book. And like on top of farming, it sounds like first
It's
world
been
problems,
no,
but it's been really quite intense.
because it's all been
I
like
get that.
it was like self-doubt in it, like the whole
Yeah.
thing. Like Zoe's never written a book, so she's writing stuff and like she's like, hang on, am I actually crap at this? Like, is it any good? Like, and then suddenly, like when it was finished, she was like, it's done now. Like, people are gonna read my story. Like, are they gonna enjoy it? Like, and there's been a lot of that. So you've had a lot of anxiety about it,
Basically,
really.
what I wanted is I wanted my Instagram stories to be on paper.
Okay.
That's what I
Yeah, yeah,
wanted.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
wanted to I wanted it to be about funny stories of me and Chris when we've nearly broken up over God knows what on the farm. Next thing, funny story, mainly is funny stories, but like funny stories of like when I was in London and met so-and-so and so-and-so. Next minute it would be like obviously not obviously, but I my dad died and that was really grim, but there might
all
be
the stuff
like
she learnt in farming as well.
Correlation.
All the stuff she was saying about like where a sheep's penis was, and just weird stuff she wouldn't know. Like it's like, I don't know, for someone that's outside of farming, it's like quite a good.
Yeah.
I also think it's good for someone in farming though, because like we would relate to it from the different side. You know, I think it sounds class.
Like there's two things in there that I think, why the hell have I got that to be around forever in a book, but in a good, like in a funny, like not in a crucify me, this more like no one's gonna ever fancy me again.
So I was just checking.
You're only one person that matters though, Zoe. It doesn't matter.
Chris hasn't heard it all either.
Oh really?
I don't really read. No,
he's never read a book.
She's read a fair amount to me.
I'm so glad you said that, because when you said if you bought it, I've never read a book either.
Well, I've got news for you.
Here we go.
February, I'm in the booth. I'm recording an audio book in February.
How weird is that? You're
going to sound all like this.
Oh.
Do it.
He said I'm too common. He said so. Penguin Random House is the publishers, and then my team in a like sub department called Transworld, and they come to the farm the other day because of COVID and stuff like that. Like all of it's been done on Zoom and that. So they're like, we want to come to the farm. I was like, amazing, literally clearing up the dead part, like clearing up everything.
Yeah, all the dog attacks. Yeah, we had a pile of them.
Honestly, the prep, and then Chris come back and was chatting away to them, and I was like, oh, this is actually really nice. And then he admitted to people that are in the book industry that he's never read a book, and then was like, what, you really want her to record an audio book? She's so common. And they were like, what? They were like, what? She'll be amazing. But yeah,
Dooley.
No.
That's amazing.
So in audio book.
I think audiobook I've got more chance. See if someone shows you like an Instagram post or something like that, and it's got like maybe 4 sentences. They're like, "Oh, look at this," and I'm like,
"That's him."
And like you finished, and I'm like, almost done 4 words. Like, give me a minute.
I'm
an education.
Like when we watch a film, like, and there's like the subtitles, I can't keep up with them.
I have to read them out to him.
Yeah.
I can't keep up. I can't watch them. Like
he is dyslexic as well, so when I read something, it'll be a lot easier, obviously, for me to.
I don't believe her that she's actually read it. I'm like, here, read this, and she's like, yeah, all right. And I'm like, have you?
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I honestly think she's winding me up.
Yeah.
But
well, as far as I'm aware, I'm not dyslexic, and I'm still very slow. I've got no.
If you were at school now, though, you would be dyslexic because everyone's diagnosed with everything now at school, aren't they?
In some ways, it's better because there's not people suffering. But you're right, though. There is part of that. And what about...
Sorry, you go.
No, I was going to say, what was the other thing? But you asked about the book, but that takes us...
clothing.
Clothing. Oh, yeah.
Clothes. So if I'm totally honest with you, farming doesn't give us both a wage at all.
Okay, yeah.
We want to have kids, therefore we need more money. Like my ovaries aren't going to be this healthy forever, so I'm very conscious of that. And I know a lot of people will be screaming like, you shouldn't feel like that. But
Zoe's always wanted to be a mum.
I've always wanted to be a mum, and
that's a big part.
I'm at a point in my life where I do feel like I am ready, but financially we couldn't afford a child.
Just having, and also like so especially me with like what I do, I'd buy, like, if I bought a jumper, I'd happily buy someone on, like, I buy a bit of Tom Pemberton's merch, just stuff like that, just because I wear it at work. If I'm going to wear it, it doesn't worry me.
He wears clothes so he's not naked.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I totally get that.
We're trying to like make a few avenues for us. Like we're never going to be millionaires selling a bit of merch and stuff like that. But if people want to wear it, then why not? It's just another avenue. Like it's another little bit pot.
I like the sort of, what's the word? I like the way what I've seen. It just says chief I really like it. It's like, and I'm planning on getting my mum something because she is a dog called Chief.
Is she?
Yeah. Shit, this is going out on the podcast. She'll see it. Doesn't matter. There you go, Mum.
You know what? So the thing for me, right? I didn't want. I want it, because most of the people that are on my page, which let's be honest, they're the ones that are going to be buying it. Most of them aren't farmers. So if my emblem was a sheep, or do you know what I mean? Like, no shade, Cammy, that yours is a sheep. You've done incredibly well. Sorry. But like,
don't steal off Cammy, yeah.
But you know what I mean? If mine was animal / farming related,
no, absolutely,
it probably wouldn't sell that well. So I thought, oh, do you know what? And then one day it's going to be on ASOS, and I'm going to be a millionaire. So,
well, that's it. I mean, you're selling Waterstones, the book. Like, that's insane to me. That's so insane.
That makes me feel sick as a dog.
But
don't think I'm taking that lightly. Like, I feel sick as a dog when I see it. But
it's cool. It's very cool. So maybe
it's also cool when people buy like your merch and want to wear something like that. It's nice,
eat our meat.
Yeah, any of it. Yeah, the whole thing.
Which is it's really cool. Like, I mean, we had, I don't know, I can't remember if you follow me or not, but it doesn't matter. But we had a sort of, at work, we had a like winter livestock show for our students, and they get involved, they dress all that, you know, and I put forward basically however many people in the winning team of my Royalty Kitchen body warmers. And it was so cool. The next day, there was 4 or 5 students walking around the campus with my stuff on. I was like, "This is the coolest day of my life."
It's surreal. It's quite surreal, isn't it?
It is. It's really weird.
The only thing I can liken it to is, did you have MySpace?
No, I didn't. I was a bit too young. 25. I just missed it.
You're 25?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah, no, it's people are like, you're not 45. Like,
oh no, I thought you were just mature. I thought you were just mature, okay, so MySpace, you had a top 5, and like the top 5 was like such a huge thing. Like, if you fell out with someone, you'd take them out of your top 5 and put someone else in.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
What?
Did you not have Okay, well that was a thing.
That sounds like a toxic place to
It's mentally toxic. I love it.
It's meant to be about the music, but it was not about the music.
Oh, the music. Okay, yeah.
So you had this top 5, and the only thing I can liken merch to is someone putting you in their top 5. Like, that's how buzzy you get about it.
Is this like the same as sending love on Bebo?
Yes.
So I never had Bebo. I just heard people talk about it.
Or poking on Facebook.
Oh, that was a weird one. What a strange name.
Yeah.
I bet you got loads of pokes on Facebook, didn't you? That's probably how we met. He probably poked me on Facebook.
Yeah.
Why? It's such a horrible word. I hate it.
I know.
Poking.
No, listen, guys, it's been great to chat. We've tried to arrange this, I think, 3 times now.
I know.
It's been good fun. Whether it was me ill, wrong timing, hangovers getting in the way, we've had every excuse from both sides. There's 2 questions we end every podcast on.
Okay.
First off is, where do you see yourselves in 5 years? And second is, if you had tips, and Zoe, you're brilliant for this, tips for folk coming into the industry, what would they be?
What was the first one?
In 5 years, I don't know, to be honest with you. We're really looking out for a farm tenancy, but I like it to be fairly local because we've built up quite a bit of stuff around it. So I would like very much for us to have a farm tenancy within that 5 years. I think it'd make things a lot easier as well, wouldn't it? You know?
I would like a Bedlington Whippet and a Saluki dog.
Salukis are gorgeous. I don't have a clue what a Bedlington Whippet looks like.
Google
Jarvis the Bedlington Whippet. He's my favourite Instagram dog.
Jarvis. Okay.
That's what I would like.
What is your Instagram full of? It's
So I would like those 2 dogs, and in 5 years, probably, if I'm fortunate enough,
3-year-old.
If my ovaries are ovaries, if my uterus is habitable environment, I would like to have 2 kids by 5 years.
That seems like a fair hope.
2 dogs, 2 kids.
And a
and
tenancy.
I'm really, really hoping that we've got a farm tenancy. But it's one of those things, if you wish too hard for it, you end up getting frustrated when it doesn't happen. So we'll just be quietly relieved if it does happen.
That's a nice way of putting it, yeah, because like you say, like if you create this sort of, what would you say, like almost tangible target, objective target, whatever, you never actually get there, because
like, did we think that we would be on a podcast with a guy in Scotland because people care what we have to say? Probably not.
Exactly, but I am almost certain that no one has ever made that a goal of theirs.
You never know.
You never know. People are wearing your body warmers.
Yeah, because I gave them forced them upon them. What was the other one? Tips for coming into farming.
Just go for it but you've really got to love it. That's the truth. It's really, really hard. Like, you won't have no money. Like, it's so tough that if you really don't love it, then I wouldn't, to be honest with you, because it's one of them industries that it's tough to make a lot of money.
The thing that I always say to people is doing like for me, I did 1 foot in, 1 foot out, such a long time, and I only did that for financial reasons. If I could have quit the salon like that and had an adventure in farming kind of thing, then I would have done it like that. But I wouldn't have probably lasted in farming as long as I had without doing that. Do you know what I mean?
In the future, that's still an option that we might set Zoe up a hair salon or something.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
don't know, do you? But what I would say is, do like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, a bit of volunteering or whatever. Make sure you want to go for it, and then just go balls deep and just go for it.
And always talk to someone. Always talk to someone
that's what I'll write in the post. Go balls deep and fucking go for it.
You have to, though, because you're going to live and breathe it for like for me, I know I'm going to live and breathe it for the rest of my life. So why wouldn't I go like whole hog at it? Like, just
definitely. But was there a period? Sorry, Chris. Was there a period when you were 1 foot in each, Zoe, and you were like, I can't make this jump from a financial perspective? There was quite a few times for a long.
The only reason why I quit hairdressing was because my dad died, and I didn't like. I could not. Yeah, that's taken a really negative turn. Sorry, but like I could not. There was not for the life of me an inch of me that could have meaningful conversations while I do their hair while I was hurting so much.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So, but like I'd still, if he hadn't have died, I'd still be doing hairdressing as well as farming.
Yeah. That makes sense then. Yeah, that makes sense.
Genuinely, like we money wise, we do, like we live with Chris's mum and stepdad still. Like, we could not afford a mortgage and work the way that we do. And we've just kind of that's just where we are in our lives, and
we've made that sacrifice.
Yeah,
so you need them. It's gonna take you a few years to get somewhere, really, and
you will sacrifice a lot for it. Like,
but I'd always say as well, always talk to someone that's done it as well. Like, we're always approachable, always happy to talk to people that are interested in doing it. Like, some of the people you can find online, like, come from a completely different world, and always try and find someone that's like had that real like hands-on experience starting on their own. And like,
if you want to build your flock, herd, whatever, if you want to do it without a farm, you should probably ask questions to people that are in the same boat as you.
Yes.
So, like, I wouldn't necessarily like just take everything on Instagram as face value. Don't decide you want to be a farmer because you've seen me rolling a bale of straw in a pink jumper.
But like, from your perspective,
I mean, like, it's
like but when you're posting that stuff, like, I almost have an upload schedule where since April 2020 I've not missed one weekday. Like, it's kind of surreal. Yeah. On Facebook, and
that's so impressive.
2 years, Facebook and Instagram. But like, when you're posting stuff, if you're talking about something rubbish, you don't want to keep doing that. Like, if something's bad, you don't want to keep posting about that, because you're like, well, this bad thing's happening. We need to stop this. Like,
Yeah.
and talking about it all the time is not what you want to do. So you want to talk.
That's
about
what Chris said to me yesterday. I was like, stop talking about your merch on your Instagram. It's so boring. That's what
I
he said.
disagree.
And
And I was like,
loving
it's
the
because I'm
close-ups.
excited. I was like, it's because I'm excited. And he was like, just, it's a bit much, like, which I wouldn't even think that, because my stories are literally just like my brain coming out.
Yeah,
Whereas he would probably think, oh, shut up. So like,
it's quite funny. Like, I see your Instagram stories are very similar to my Snapchat stories, and my Snapchat stories are on Snapchat because with my job they just couldn't be on Instagram. Yeah, it's, I'll just be sitting doing something, I'll post it, and I'm like, yeah, only Snapchat. That's not going anywhere
Yeah.
else. Like, there's rules with that. But yeah, no, here it's been brilliant to chat, guys.
thank you for having us. Sorry, we've made you late for your dinner now.
No, not at all. No, I've just got concert practice to go to in 20 minutes, so I'm this is timed perfectly. If anyone listening, if you want to go to Dumfries Laurenist Young Farmers concert in 13th, 14th of January, you will see me making a fool of myself, but you'll have to pay for it this time instead of normal. Yeah, no, it's been good to chat. Great to hear the story. First off, Chris, your whole family story is that is quite something. You also mentioned about talking to people that have been through the sort of farming process. You know, over the course of this podcast, we have folk like Rachel and Jake, Our Farming Journey, Abby and Andy, A&A Livestock. They're both
them.
yeah. I've definitely had other folk. Lynn Castles at Linbreck Croft up in Scotland as well, up North Scotland. So there's loads of different.
Well.
You know them as well, yeah.
I don't know them. I've got them.
It's actually getting ridiculous the amount of folk I've had on here, and I have currently arranged 9 to film before New Year. So it's quite fun meeting all these folk, and it's been great fun to have you two on. It is the Christmas special. It is the first out of 73 podcasts to go over 2 hours. It's the first ever.
We do this
It's
all
Zoe,
the time.
mate,
It's
honestly.
me.
Yeah.
I did a podcast once, and it was 5 hours long.
Who with?
I could have flown to Egypt in that time.
That's amazing.
I'm a nightmare.
In fairness, if I didn't have sort of like some kind of structure and some kind of rules as to duration, I say I like to try and get 45 minutes, but I don't really have like a top end. But I contribute to it as well. Trust me. So it's good.
Cool.
There's not
Yeah, there
many
you go.
things we're dragging out. It's been a pleasure.
Practice.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch, and everyone listening, we will see you for what will be R2Kast 74. I'm going to take the first week off posting a podcast since January 21, just over Christmas, because no one really watches it at that time anyway. And we'll see you for what will be series 3 of the R2Kast with, I can't remember what number 74 is. I can't remember if it's in Zimbabwe with a blueberry agronomist or if it's in England with the only quinoa grower in the south coast. I can't remember.
I know her.
Emily.
Yeah, I know.
So interesting.
We met her at Groundswell.
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Of course, yeah.
You're going to love her.
I'm very much looking forward to filming it. So yeah, we'll see you then. Thank you very much both for coming on, and we shall keep in touch.
Thank you.
Guys, that was...
Well, that's it. Another R2Kast finished, another agricultural mind opened up. And I would just like to say that getting these guests on board, it does take time, and it always has done, but I've now went weekly, and with that comes even more time required. And I would just like to finally thank once more the Scottish Farmer for sponsoring the show and making that much more possible. Please be sure to get in touch if you've any ideas of people you'd like to see on the podcast, or maybe ideas you have for me presenting better, because I definitely do require that. See you in the next one.